This is X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network.
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well. From Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City, we say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. Appreciate you. And of course, encourage you to join the program. Dan, any words from Luke?
Yes, he is. He's on the line.
Oh, great. Well, let's get right to it. We're going to shift gears a little bit and hop into the discussion of we're going to go to a place that we don't really know a whole lot about. So let's learn about it a little bit with Luke Fedlam, who joined the program right now. Luke, good morning to you, my friend. Thank you for taking the time to join us. Luke is an NIL expert, a non-agent sports attorney, managing partner at Advance NIL, partner and chair of the sports law practice at Porter Wright Law Firm, and the author of Sports Law, a practical guide to protecting the interests of athletes. You can find him on Twitter at Luke Fedlam. Luke, my friend, first and foremost, thank you for taking the time to join us. How are you this morning?
I'm fantastic. Thanks so much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure, and I'm glad that we can finally, have some time to kind of understand exactly what we think we're reading and what we think we are seeing with name, image, and likeness. When this first came out, I think a lot of us assumed that, hey, NIL is going to pass. Kids are going to be able to run camps. They're going to be able to sell T-shirts or, do all these little things that the NCAA would shun if they collected any money from. And then we ran into Texas A&M, and we have a lot of questions about what's going on down there. So what in theory here, what do you see as what NIL should be, and then what do you believe that it is right now?
Well, everyone came into name, image, and likeness believing that it was going to be exactly what we thought, right? This idea of student athletes being able to license or lend their name, their image, their likeness to a third party and receive compensation, to run camps and clinics like you mentioned, to be able to maybe have a T-shirt with their face on it and be able to make money off of it, or a jersey with their name on it and make money off of it. And those things are happening. Let's be very clear. Those things are happening across the country with thousands of student athletes. But what we're seeing when we look at the headlines and look at some of the big programs is that name, image, and likeness is in some ways just being used as a cover for pay to play. And what it really has come down to is when we have coaches talking about student athletes to be able to keep their roster intact, they need X number of millions of dollars, or student athletes now because of the transfer portal can also transfer. Now, there's a lot that's gone into name, image, and likeness that was not originally contemplated.
Luke, as we try to get a grasp on this as fans of college athletics, I mean, do we like the oversight committee here from the NCAA? How would you, if let's say you were like the director, if there was like a committee to put some rules in place as to how NIL should function so that it is not just pay for play, how would you approach that?
Well, it's really hard because at this point there has not been any ability to really say what is fair market value. So if you have a student athlete right now, all you have to have for a name, image, and likeness deal is mutual obligations, which basically means the student athlete has to do something, and for that something that they do, sign autographs, make appearances, post on social media, they can receive compensation. But there's no limitations to say that one tweet is worth $1,000, $100, or $1 million. And that's what really a lot of this challenge is. There has to be at some point some determination of what fair market value is for the work or the services that a student athlete provides. So trying to set some parameters around that, you can't really put in necessarily limitations because oftentimes fair market value is whatever the market would say it is. But having some type of limitations on what is considered normal and fair, I think that's at least the first place to start with all this.
What exactly is, I've seen this term, Luke, a couple of times. What is an NIL collective, and how do those work?
So NIL collectives, and you say you've seen the term a couple of times. It's interesting because a year and a half ago, the term didn't even exist. So it was a creation out of name, image, and likeness. And what it is, it's an organization, a separate entity distinct from the school or the institution that is usually made up of donors, alumni, or fans of that particular institution for the sole purpose of raising funds and getting name, image, and likeness deals to student athletes. Now, we've heard a lot about NIL collectives over the last year or so as people have realized, well, that's an easy way then to get big dollar deals to student athletes. If I'm a donor and I want, or an alum, and I want my institution to get the best recruiting class or to get that one 5-star prospect that we want, then that's a way for me to go in, pull some funds together with some other people to be able to put together deals for specific student athletes at that particular institution.
It does make me think of our friends Jared Wangler and Justin Rowe over at Valiant, which is I don't even know. I guess an NIL collective because they are separate from the University of Michigan. But Wangler being a former Michigan football player, Justin Rowe heavily connected at U of M, and they kind of work in that space, operating of kind of orchestrating these different deals for these student athletes. So I wonder if that's kind of in the same mold. That's a question I'll have to ask to them, as I tried, just like any other fan, try to learn and understand exactly what we're seeing, because there were no parameters, there were no guidelines. It was like the NCAA just kind of said, here, NIL's fine, we're not going to take the lawsuit, you guys figure it out. And it's like, well, we're not, as somebody like a position of power, we're not exactly supposed to just have, like the Wild West out here, but it is what it is.
Right.
How do we figure out what is quote unquote fair? The term fair, we can go a million different directions with this, right? Life ain't fair. It's never going to be fair. Kids, get it out of your mind. Just drop that word from your vocabulary. But we know football is the engine that drives athletic departments. Men's basketball is right there as well. For a lot of institutions across the country, those are the programs that they allow the athletic departments to even have a budget in the first place. So what about that term fairness, and how do we kind of disperse some of this money to where we have Title IX from a scholarship standpoint, but when it comes down to the open market, that's not going to exist?
Right, and that is a challenge, because you're absolutely right. Because it's a separate entity, it's not the institution. Title IX doesn't necessarily apply. One thing, though, that I do think we will see is that over time, I do think the market will correct itself. Hey, that when we look at it, when people have the opportunity to initially get involved and being able to put money in the hands of student athletes, that for 70-plus years of NCAA history, they weren't able to do that. To then all of a sudden they can, I think we saw just a rush into the marketplace. But when you're talking about some of those really big deals, I think this season, when we go into this upcoming off season, I think a lot of donors, a lot of people who put money into big dollar, numbers into some athletes that did not get a return on their investment, I think the market over time will correct itself to find something that is more in line with norms. Maybe we won't say fair, because I agree that is a tough word to have. So maybe it's more in line with norms that we have if somebody puts in $1 million towards a student athlete and that school just still has a 5-7 record. Yeah, I don't know if they're going to be that willing to put another $1 million in down the road.
Now, that's very interesting, because we have seen, we have National Signing Day coming up. The early signing period has already taken place, but early signings and affecting NIL opportunities for student athletes versus like signing day, and this is the great unknown, right? I could draft a quarterback into the NFL, or I could maybe pay a guy like Lamar Jackson, for example. I have a known commodity in Lamar Jackson. I know what I'm going to get out of him. If I draft a quarterback, I have no idea. And the NFL and organizations got burned multiple times. Think Sam Bradford. That was the end of that. Now they go with slotted deals depending on where you're picked at. People are getting burned. They are going to get burned. This is going to happen. I'm going to throw out a massive NIL deal for some kid to go wear my T-shirts, and he is going to be a bust. There's no way around it. Not everybody's going to be good. How does NIL affect the high school kids coming in?
So, interestingly, the NCAA is trying to step in there. So about 2 months ago, they came out with some updated guidance that really brought in NIL collectives under the rules of boosters. And because of that, basically were explicit in saying that NIL collectives cannot use the promise of a deal as to influence or to recruit a high school or prospective student athlete to a particular institution. The inducements is the biggest challenge that's just driving coaches, athletic directors, conferences nuts, because that's what is causing some of the craziness in the market right now, if you will. So I think over time we're going to see that collectives aren't going to be able to play that role. But here's the thing. Let's just be honest. Can I be honest on the show for a second?
Absolutely. It's the most fair and honest show in America right here, Luke. I mean, kick it to us straight. What do you got?
Listen, we know that people cheated in college football before name, image, and likeness.
Yeah.
So this idea that because of name, image, and likeness, all of a sudden everything is going to be fair and equitable and we're going to have the perfect solution, there's no way. Some people say that just like the NFL stands for not for long, that name, image, and likeness stands for now it's legal. And that's where I think we're going to continue to have challenges when we look at recruiting and inducements.
NFL stands for not for long, NIL, now it's legal. Bing bong. Oh, I love that right there, Luke. I love that. It's incredible. So I guess one thing that I've asked a lot about the NIL space, right? Because this is just completely out of control. I happen to have a brown paper bag sitting next to me. Now there is nothing in it but dust. But if there was something in it, right? Why don't we have these massive TV deals with all of these different conferences. How come we can't get everybody together and organize college athletics, especially college football, in a way, shape, and form that the NFL has shown us that will work forever? Now, whether we sign a collective bargaining agreement instead of dividing the pie into two, the actual team itself, so the organization, I'll just use, for example, the University of Michigan football program and then the University of Michigan football players, they'll probably, the university is going to want to cut of that because, you know how those academics are. Ugh. Anywho, we're not here for that. I'm not here to play any school, in the words of Carl. I'm here to talk about sports. Why don't we just sign a CBA and be done with it and have the players be, we set a salary cap. This is what you can spend. Do whatever you want.
I do think that we're going to get to a point for revenue share. And whether we get to full unionization under collective bargaining or not, I do think that we're going to be moving for certain probably within the next 5 years of student athletes being able to receive a share of the revenue driven by, in particular, college football. And whether that's all student athletes or not is yet to be seen, because in some regards, the National Labor Relations Board, which is the it's the organization that certifies unions, if you will, nationally. They're the ones when Northwestern wanted to unionize back in 2015. That go through that process. The general counsel, the head lawyer for that organization, wrote a memo last year that said that certain student athletes, talking about football and men's and women's basketball, should be able to unionize and should be able to come together and collectively bargain for their rights. Now, I think that at some point we're going to move to this place where, number one, we are going to see revenue share. I just think the numbers are too big. And when we saw the way in which the NCAA lost at the Supreme Court level on education-related benefits last year in NCAA versus Alston, you know for a fact, just based on the money that's involved, that they would lose on a lawsuit or legal challenge when you have $7.5 billion coming in based on really the product of football and the players not being able to participate. And I think that's why Kevin Warren started having some of those conversations with student athletes, because it's much easier to come up with a plan to avoid lawsuit than to get stuck in a lawsuit and then be stuck with the outcome that comes with it.
God favors the prepared or something like that, right? I mean, Kevin Warren, I like Kevin Warren. I mean, a lot of people, they went after him early because of the whole COVID thing, and he has found a way to navigate. He survived that and then came out strong, swinging for USC and UCLA, and it's, all things are, he could smile. He could sit back and rest a little bit and smile a little bit because he's doing really well for the Big Ten Conference as a whole. Now, you recently, you have a book, Sports Law, A Practical Guide to Protecting the Interests of Athletes. What inspired you to write this book? And in your field, as much as I want to be able to trust everybody, we know that there are people that are more interested in their percentage, their cut, than the overall actual benefit in protecting the student athlete.
Wait, are you telling me that people in the sports world are sometimes out for themselves? Get out of here. That is breaking news right there.
That's what I heard. I can't confirm, but I've heard stories.
Well, listen, I wrote the book because ultimately I have the benefit on the legal side of working with athletes across all sports, NFL, NBA, hockey, baseball, soccer, and I see firsthand. I'm not an agent, so I am just a lawyer. I'm like a general counsel, head lawyer for individual professional athletes, and I've seen how athletes are so hyper-focused on their sport as they come through, whether they're coming through AAU or these days coming through 7v7 football and working their way through these big programs and onto the professional leagues, that people a lot of times are just out for themselves. And I, as a lawyer focusing just on the individual athlete, want to also make sure that I am equipping other lawyers who have the opportunity to work with athletes to make sure that they're doing the things necessary to protect athletes so that they can have a long-term positive effect on themselves, their families, and their communities.
You know, an ESPN special 30 for 30 came out, and I know a lot of people joked about what took place and, stuff. And I think that actually once you start to sit back and look at, I forget the NHL player that was doing this, but he was breaking down, here's your salary, here's what you're paying in taxes, here's what you're paying for your agent, here's what you're paying for this, that, and the third, here's what you're actually going to ballpark figure go home with. And you think about guys that have been basically swindled by crooks, and to be able to have a trusted accountant, to be able to have a trusted, as you mentioned, general counsel, someone with a law degree and a background in it that can help you navigate what is good, what is bad, what needs to be done. I think it's so invaluable for the athletes so that they are not taken advantage of, because the minute a professional athlete, when they go pro and that signing bonus comes out and that salary comes out, so do like 15 different cousins. And all of a sudden it's like, I don't even know who you are.
Right. Absolutely right. Absolutely. They come out the woodwork. But the funny thing is, especially in some sports like football at the high school level, basketball down to the middle school level, that's where those cousins start coming out, because we're able to identify talent earlier and earlier, and people want to hitch their, wagon to different, players along the way as early as possible. And we need to make sure that athletes are also protected, because they're young people. They're human beings who are trying to navigate a love for their sport with now the business side that oftentimes most people don't prepare them for.
Last one here for you. What was your favorite chapter to write about in your book, and why?
So without question, it was, well, I'll tell you this. I wrote the chapter on name, image, and likeness knowing that immediately once it went to press, it was going to be outdated. So that chapter is going to be updated in a new version here pretty soon. But my favorite chapter to write was on decision-making. I do a lot of engagements with pro teams and with college athletic departments on decision-making, because we teach and train, especially our elite athletes, to make split-second decisions in their sport, but we don't teach them how to slow that decision-making process down for the life decisions that they then need to make, that oftentimes they're doing for the first time. If you ask a basketball player, hey, how many pick and rolls have you guarded in your life, including practice and games, they could say tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands. But how many times have you made the decision about picking an agent, or making a decision about, do I want to, get involved with, leaving school early or something along those lines? So we need to teach them how to have a decision-making process. And in that chapter, I go into how you can do that and what that process looks like, and align it right back to how they make decisions in their sport as well.
He is Luke Fedlam. You can find him on Twitter at Luke Fedlam. And folks, this is why I say it's the most fair and honest show in the country. He's a Buckeye. I mean, come on. I got the winged helmet sitting right here on my desk. I got C-Web's jersey behind me. Luke, and look at us. We had a great conversation.
That's
I can't
right.
thank you enough for taking the time to hop on with us this morning and help kind of explain and navigate these waters with us. Would love to have you back in the future.
Hey, thanks so much. Looking forward to it for sure. Have a great day, guys.
Just an awesome, awesome conversation there with Luke Fedlam. Find him on Twitter at Luke Fedlam. We'll step aside. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Join us now covering the Detroit Lions for the Lions Wire, part of Sports Illustrated's coverage. Our good buddy Logan Lamorandier. Find him on Twitter at Lamorandier. Logan, my friend, I got a great story for you to start this show this morning with you joining us. Before I even ask you how you're doing, we got a new guy working at the grocery store, so I asked my mother, I say, hey, what's his name? And she goes, Lamorandier. And I said, what? And my mother goes, yeah, Logan. That's how I remember it. And so I just wanted you to know that that's how my mother remembers her own employees' names. It's all because of you. How the hell are you this morning, partner?
Oh, I'm doing great. That's a great little story there. I appreciate it. Usually everyone just thinks of Logan, and I think of either Wolverine, or maybe if they're a little older, Logan's Run. That's an old movie, but I'll take it.
Yeah, no doubt about it, man. And the film, what was it? Was the film called Logan, or was it called Wolverine? The last one with Hugh Jackman that was really, really good.
You know, considering it's my name, I should remember, but I know there was one that was just called Logan, and I haven't seen it. The whole Marvel series, I need to probably do a lot of catching up on there. I haven't seen all that many of them, But yeah, there was a movie that was just called Logan.
And the one with Hugh Jackman was rated R, and that's why it was really good. It was taking those films like X-Men and whatnot and making it for its original, the older audience, right? I don't need any more Kids Bop movies, right? I don't have any kids, so I don't need any of those films. Like, give me something with a little juice to it. Give me something like the Detroit Lions, the hottest team in the National Football League. They beat the Minnesota Vikings 34-23. Another game, Logan, that we go into halftime up 14-7. I didn't have any fear in this game. I felt it the night before. I was like, they're going to win. They came out, and this team has something different about them that I don't know how to describe or categorize or quantify. But when they get a lead, I just don't feel like the bottom's going to fall out.
Yeah, it's unusual just because even when the Lions started out with 5 penalties, they were overcoming those penalties. They were overcoming mistakes. Their defense is getting turnovers. The offense just continues to seem to do whatever they want to do to opponents, and it's just a very different feel. And it's crazy how it took a complete 180 to compare to where we're at earlier in the season. And I just feel like everything's clicking. Everything that we looked at the beginning of the season, we're like, well, there's a lot of potential, and I agreed there was a lot of potential, but I didn't think it would all come to fruition and all these younger players take a step up and really started getting better this quickly and just all of a sudden. So it's I will say I was a little nervous there for a little while in the third quarter, but it just started seeming like the Lions could do whatever they wanted to do, and their defense was making stops, and the offense it's so fun to see this offense really at full health outside of right guard. Yeah, a few guys are dinged up a little bit here and there, but for the most part, really, they have health on their side right now, and you're seeing all these players that you expected. They're exceeding expectations. We talked about expectations all year long, and right now they're definitely exceeding them.
Yeah, it's been really a lot of fun, and Ford Field has been so much different. I wish these next 2 games would be at home, but they are not. And you mentioned a couple guys dinged up. I always laugh. John Kaminsky running around out there with oven mitts on his hands, tackling. And I want to get to Jameson Williams. Obviously catches that 41-yard bomb for a touchdown, in which Jared Goff said it looked like he kicked it to him, which I thought was really funny because he did. I mean, he underthrew him, and Jameson Williams is fast. He's real fast. But on the play in which the Lions got a rushing touchdown from Justin Jackson, who was able to turn the corner, Jameson Williams went out there and threw a block. And, I mean, he was headhunting there. He was going for contact. He knew, I got to find somebody, and I got to hit somebody on this play. And I thought that was a really good sign because I think a lot of times, a lot of wide receivers, they get thought of as just pass catchers, and they're prima donnas. They're just running down the field wide open and looking for fantasy stats and in celebrations in the end zone. But a big part of playing that position is being a willing and able blocker down the field. And only in game number 2, I'm 100% sold on that young man.
Yeah, he's got that aggressive nature in him. And even, being a gunner, he was a great gunner at Alabama, which is not a lot of receivers, at least, the star receivers or that, they're labeled as divas a little bit. I don't think that's Jameson Williams. Yeah, he has a little bit of flash to him, but at the same time, he really gets after it. And that's what you really like about him. And it's going to be great seeing him come along towards the end of the season and hopefully have a few more big plays and just keep making great blocks, because you need that with a running game too. And the Lions running game, there's been one negative during this winning streak, is the running game's kind of fallen off a little bit. Now they're still able to run when they need to, and that's the most important thing. But as far as establishing the run, you're not getting those explosive plays like we were seeing at the beginning of the season, but the passing offense has more than made up for it.
Yeah, and part of that running game too, Logan, as I was watching back, the very first play of the game, the Lions drive the Vikings defensive line 4 or 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. I mean, the opening snap, they just went out there and said, you know what, we're gonna set the tone right here. And I believe it was Jamal Williams with the carry. I feel like right now there's a little bit of dancing going on, a little bit of indecision. We know that indecision kills if you are a running back. Just get north and south, because the line is. I mean, they're doing an incredible job from a pass blocking standpoint to a rushing standpoint. I just feel like we're getting a little jumpy. We're doing a little east and west right now in the run game. We just got to get north and south and do so fast.
Yeah, that's what Jamal Williams is typically always so good at. He gets what's blocked for him, and he's usually very decisive. North-south, he doesn't go down easily at first contact, and he almost always falls forward. And it's kind of the opposite with Swift, where you can still tell he always wants to get the big play, and he's a little bit more hesitant at times to hit holes. But that's kind of a give and take scenario with Swift. You know that big play opportunity is there for him, but sometimes he's going to make you pull your hair out when you want him to get just a couple more yards, and that's all you need. But it's definitely the case, I think, where, you just want these guys to keep getting yards, and it hasn't happened all that much. And I think the offensive line, watching the offensive line, they're just dominant at times, but every once in a while there's a few slips-ups, which is going to happen in the NFL. But I would love to see a game kind of come back here soon where the Lions ground game can just dominate. Because I think overall the stats looked okay against the Vikings, but a lot of that came on C.J. Moore's fake punt that he had. That was a big run.
Took that next one right. Just took it right out of my mouth. The Lions defense comes out in the second half. They force a punt. That's a great start. And then they score a touchdown on their opening possession of the second half, because on 4th and 8 from the Detroit 26, Dan Campbell and this coaching staff, I would have loved to have been on the headset for that call, because you're at your own 26-yard line. If you don't get this, I mean, my goodness, the repercussions of this would have just been, it would have been back to Dan Campbell doesn't know what he's doing. Everybody's, fire everybody. That's what would have happened, because the Vikings would have scored. At the Detroit 26, C.J. Moore catches that direct snap, and he runs like hell on that play. Now, I do wonder if there is, do you try to hand it off to C.J. Moore? Do you put him in Deuce's room for a little while and just to see what you might have here? That was an angry run.
It was. And I think that's the play. It's like one of those things where it's just so crazy it just might work type of deal. Because I'm sure the Vikings said, yeah, Dan Campbell's aggressive, but he's not that aggressive where he's going to fake punt, that backed up. And they did it, and it was a huge gain. And C.J. Moore, he's got some wheels on him, and he's an athletic guy. And once he got in the open field, he was cruising, but he wasn't going down easily. It's just it's same with the Penny tool catch. Again, it's something just so crazy that not a lot of right tackles you'd probably feel comfortable catching that, but with Sewell being such an athlete, you got to give him a lot of credit. And so I think that's just where the Lions are at right now. They're just catching people off guard with these trick plays, and it's a lot of fun. And as you said, if they don't work though, yeah, you're gonna feel some heat for them. But when they're working and going in your favor, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
The amount of confidence you have to have. And to think that on 4th and 7 earlier in the game, in the first half at the Minnesota 40, they punted it away. And here we go on our own 26. Talking about, nobody expected it. Hell no, if you punt it, throw it 40, there's no way. Oh, yes, way. And C.J. Moore, there was a point there right near the line to gain. It looked like, oh, no, he's going to get. And then, nope, He just kept on running. And good for that young man. All right, so let's get to the big brewing question that I have here. A friend of the program from Yahoo Sports, his name is Frank Schwab, just wrote a big piece in his NFL Power Rankings, in which he had the Lions all the way at 11. I read that, about fell out of my chair. Does Jared Goff's hot streak force the Lions to pass on drafting a quarterback in 2023? After last year, it was like, all right, we know that, hey, we get through the upcoming season, and we know that we're going to part ways with Jared Goff. We're going to go in, get a little cap relief from that deal, draft a quarterback. We should be good enough at that point throughout the rest of the roster, talent-wise, that whoever comes in should be pretty ready to go and have some success. We've built enough success around him. Now, Jared Goff is playing so well that do we pump the brakes on that plan? And, there was a report that came out earlier in the week that said Jared Goff, the Lions are planning on him being the starter in 2023. It seems like kind of a luxury here, but it does put the organization in a little bit of a quandary with a very tough question.
Yeah, so I think the Lions might like Goff more than most, and he's definitely been playing well lately, and that's great. It's a great problem to have, and I still think that Goff is, if you have pieces around him and, you have healthy talent there, he is a very capable quarterback. But I still think there's a limited ceiling. And so I think what he's doing is, you're not being forced to draft a quarterback by any means. And if there's not a quarterback that Brad Holmes absolutely loves when their first pick comes up on the draft board, I don't think you have to reach for one or anything like that because Goff is fine. And if you add more talent to a team that's on the right trajectory and you're adding 2 first-round draft picks and, plenty of top draft picks after the first round, all of a sudden that the team's looking a lot better and Jared Goff is going to be even more comfortable. So I just don't think if someone slips and the Lions really like a quarterback, then yeah, you can take them and have a cheap quarterback for 5 years. And if Goff's playing as well as he is now at the end of the year, he would have probably some trade value because yes, his contract's about $30 million a year, which is pricey. But when you look at other quarterback contracts, it could be a lot worse. And probably guys of Goff's caliber on the open market today would be getting more than Goff's getting paid now. So I still think it's a big price tag, but at least he's been playing up to it the last month and a half or so. And you just put more pieces around him, and you saw what he could do in 2018 with the Rams, where he took him to the Super Bowl. My concern's always just been the limitations with him. If you face a really good pass rush, fortunately, he has a great line. Under pressure, he's not the greatest quarterback. Not a lot of mobility there, but he's able to distribute the ball. And I just feel like the Lions are put in a good spot where they don't necessarily have to reach for a quarterback. They can just pick best player available again. And if it's not a quarterback, so be it. And if the Lions finish off in 2023 with a decent record and they're kind of out of that quarterback range, then I think that's at the point where you have your young core in place from all these top draft picks and you really get aggressive and try to move up and get your quarterback if that ends up being the case. So it's tough to say right now because Goff is playing so well that you would move on from him. But you're just put in a tough situation because do you want to take a lottery ticket on a player that you draft who might be just what Goff is and he's cheaper, or he could be even worse than Goff, or he could be better. It's really tough to predict quarterbacks, and all these NFL executives are getting paid all this money, and there's busts every year at the quarterback position. So you're just taking a gamble. So with Goff, at least you know what you have in him, and if you build a team around him, you can win some games.
And there are going to be some teams that are looking. I know the Atlanta Falcons have moved towards their rookie quarterback, Desmond Ridder, but the New Orleans Saints, the Indianapolis Colts, the Arizona Cardinals, who knows what will happen with Kyler Murray's knee and then, what his future kind of holds. But there will be some teams in the market. Tom Brady said that everything is on the table for his free agency, whether or not he's going to stay in Tampa Bay. And it's been really nice for Jared Goff because you mentioned the key word there is value. He shows some value, some good veteran leadership. It's been good. I mean, if they're in a position in the draft, would you be comfortable with them saying, hey, you know what, Jared Goff's still going to be our starter in 2023. But let's say they pick at 6 and whatever quarterback ends up falling at 6 or 7. And they're like, we're going to take our quarterback of the future, but we're going to redshirt him this year. That's a strategy that has proven to work in the past as well.
Yeah, the quarterback, if the Lions were to draft a quarterback this year, they're going to be in a really good situation. They have the pieces around them. They have a good offensive line. They could sit behind Jared Goff for at least a year and kind of learn the ropes. And you could be looking at a quarterback in the future, even with 2 years left on Goff's deal. You just wonder how Goff would respond to that. You'd hope he'd take it well. But I think that would be, again, I wouldn't have a problem with that. I have a lot more homework to do in terms of draft scouting and really deep diving into these quarterbacks. But, probably at the beginning of the season, I would say I was a little bit higher on these quarterbacks than I am now. And that just might line up that way where the Lions might not feel like there's a quarterback that they have to draft on the board whenever they draft first.
The New York Jets, it is a road game. It is Sunday. It's 1 o'clock on CBS. Gut feeling going into this one, now knowing that, even though he's listed as questionable, Mike White will be available to play quarterback for the New York Jets.
Yeah, I think the Jets are they're a good team. They have a pretty solid record. They have a good defense. That offense with Mike White looks a lot better than, surprisingly, with Zach Wilson. He's fallen off. Talk about quarterback bust. Second overall draft pick not long ago, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. But the defense, I think, it is playing well. The Lions defense is playing well, and the Jets offense, I think they can stop them. It's just can the Lions offense continue to do what they've been doing the past few weeks? And I think they can. It's just they spread the ball out. They have plenty of playmakers. They have guys stepping up. That Goff to Shark connection is really starting to heat up after Shark is looking healthy. So my gut feeling is I feel like the Lions should win. It's going to be tough that it's on the road, but just with the way the Lions have been playing of late, it's tough to really, bet against them, I guess, to say at this point.
It really will be something on Sunday if they can pull that off. Oh, my goodness. Then Carolina, a little bit of a surge. Okay, we'll hold our horses, and we'll wait till next week on that. His name is Logan Lamorandier. Find him on Twitter at @LLamorandier. And if you have anybody named Logan in your business, you can't remember what their name is, just think of this man on Wednesday mornings here on X's and Bros. Logan, my friend, as always, partner, greatly appreciate the time.
Of course, I appreciate it. Talk to you next week.
Yeah, I was laughing years ago. Logan and I have been doing this together on the radio for a long time. And I was laughing because one time my mother had asked me, she said, "What about that Logan Lamorandier?" I said, "What about him?" She goes, "Is he single?" I said, no, why? I was like, "Why are you asking?" "Well, I was asking for your sister." And I'm like, I wouldn't do that to Logan. He's a nice guy. Bing bong. Why would I do that to him? I like him. I want him on the radio with me. What's the matter with you?
You brought out the grandma death voice for your mother again. How nice.
So I was trying to explain that to Logan, and he was laughing. He's like, "I'm fighting a cold. I can't laugh too hard." And he was laughing to the point where he started coughing and I said that, and my mom doesn't actually sound like that. Maybe to you, but to me, that's what she's.
I feel like she's going to call a technical foul on us soon.
That's a technical foul. The fact that we haven't put that in the system, I can't wait. Tom Izzo's going to be at Chrysler. He's going to get teed up, and then you should see the coach on the screen. That's a technical foul. That would be great. Are you kidding me? Why are we not doing this? Somebody tell me. Paying attention to it and what happens here and what happens next. And as we look at the sports calendar, the biggest travesty is the fact that this isn't happening during the summer, because then it gives us something worth watching. I was thinking about this yesterday, to where we had the game between Argentina and Croatia. I'm a big fan of Lionel Messi. If you know the story of he and his wife Antonella, three little baby boys, like, God bless him, just winning at life. And sometimes some people are so good at the game of life, you just got to applaud it. Like, it is, but I like Croatia, former, region of old Yugoslavia. So anytime that there is a country, whether it's Slovenia, Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, Bosnia, any of the Albania, any of those countries, I'll always pull for them. But I'm a big Messi guy. I'm going to take Messi over Ronaldo. That's just me. And it was the 3-0 win there, so they'll advance to the final today. At 2:00, you will get Morocco against France. This is a massive, massive game. Winner punches their ticket to the World Cup final. That's it. And then we're all done for the 2022 World Cup. And, you'll get the consolation game on Saturday. And then on Sunday at 10 a.m. on Fox, we could start our day, get that game in early on Fox before we watch NFL football. A really good Sunday. But Argentina just awaiting the winner. Odds are it's probably going to be France. But if Morocco can continue this crazy run that they are on, it'd be a massive upset. Be bad news for Killian and Mbappe, but we shall see. And as I was thinking about what this post-football world is going to look like here in about a month or so, I mean, obviously, with the extension of the regular season, that benefits us. Although it's still the same amount of games, that extra week of regular season football, it matters more. And then we get into the playoffs. We have expanded the playoffs, which is great. That is awesome for us. And I was like, man, if the World Cup would have been held, last summer or, whenever, what was it supposed to be? I forget what year it was. Was it? Yeah, it's supposed to be this year, right? 2018? Yeah, no, 2016, 2020, then 2024. So, COVID and everything else. And then they have to host it while everybody else's seasons are going on. But that's all the Qatar stuff. I don't want to go down that path. But, man, it's going to be brutal once football season ends. brutal. I mean, you're going to get the Detroit Pistons in action tonight. Painfully going to watch them. They're taking on Charlotte. They're either going to look really good or this is going to be just a mess of a game.
That's why you got to be in a bowling league, Anthony.
Brutal.
Then you have like Thursdays. Hey, I don't have to worry about Thursday nights.
I can't commit to that, Daniel. You know I can't commit to that.
You can.
I'll never be able to play.
No, you have to find a night like
any nights, Dan.
Anthony.
It's
know
too
that
inconsistent.
But it's not.
It is. What do you mean it's not? It absolutely is.
You work for
4 basketball teams.
I understand that, but they're not like you can get a Saturday morning at 9 a.m. league. There's no games on.
And then bowl until 10 o'clock and then run to my car and then sprint up 23 for a noon tip-off?
I'm just saying.
I know. You're trying to help me.
I'm saying you can do a virtual golf league.
I thought about like a simulator. Like I don't know. Like I never really liked hitting into a net. And I guess like if there's some simulators nearby that I could maybe get into a league like that. But once again, it's if you're let's say it's a Wednesday night league. Let's say it's something like tonight. If I were to get back to my house after work at let's say 6:30, 6:45, and then have to do whatever's necessary for the show in the morning, then try to make it to a simulator league or play in the it's just a lot. It's a lot. And we're going to be stuck with, luckily the Wings are at least somewhat competitive they're hovering at 500. But the Pistons, their 25% win percentage is brutal. And then we'll get ready for a Tiger season, which if you're, very interested, and I'm sure that we're going to try to put on our happy face and say, who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. Maybe I'll try to drink some, Tiger Orange Kool-Aid here and try to get a little bit of maybe some positive juice flowing too. This is a good opportunity to see some of the young guys. A good opportunity to see if there's going to be that development, if Torque can take that step, and if Riley Green, can continue on, and we have these franchise, these cornerstone pieces, and maybe they'll be more competitive than we think, and that would be great. Maybe there have been some changes in a couple of different departments within the organization that will help improve the play of majority of last year's roster. But I just have that weird sort of gut feeling that it ain't going to be pretty when we close down football season. Not going to be pretty at all. Our friend of the show, Frank Schwab, if you're looking for some good reading today, Frank Schwab threw out an article on Yahoo Sports and their NFL page for his power rankings, and that is good to read because he dives into a little bit of the quandary that the Detroit Lions are going to find themselves in. Brad Holmes is going to find himself along with Dan Campbell. They're going to have to sit down at the end of this year based upon how good Jared Goff has played this year and decide what exactly do we want to do. What do we want to do? And how are we going to do it? And what's our strategic plan now moving forward here from the quarterback position? That's a very big question to ask. And Frank Schwab jumps into that as well as the salary ramifications. Now, I do know that there have been some drafts in which the Lions have not addressed the quarterback position. I understand that. But I also understand that by neglecting that position because of the guys that you had in place, Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff, which are both better than 90% of the quarterbacks that get drafted in NFL history. They both are. By neglecting that position, you were able to add a cornerstone piece on the defensive line off the edge in Aiden Hutchinson, and you were able to add a cornerstone piece on the offensive line in tackle Penei Sewell that you converted from a left tackle to a right tackle. Even when that happened, people were like, now you got to trade Taylor Decker and move Penei to the left. Why would you do that? Why? It never made any sense to me why people called for that, because it's ridiculous. Do you want one really good tackle or two really good tackles? I would like two, please. That would be great. The offensive line has been great. And because you have passed up on trying to draft quarterbacks and all that other mess, you're able to bolster the roster in a more wholesome fashion to where when it is time, you have a team that is built for success already in place for whatever youngster might come along. Mirza says, love, what do you say here? Love football. Love the football flavor you toss on the show, especially during the World Cup. Thank you. One more for Messi. I pulled for my Croatian neighbors until they got matched up with Argentina, and it's only Messi left. I'm with you, man. I'm with Messi. I'm riding with Messi. Joining us now from one of the most underrated cities in the United States of America, live from Tampa Bay, the coach, Kyle Barlow. His Bobcats taking on the Florida Gators tonight down there in Tampa. Coach, what's going on? Good morning to you.
Good morning. Extremely underrated, too, by the way. Great city. You know, we got Kanye West playing. Somehow he's not canceled yet. And, you know, we're going to keep rocking. Wake up, Mr. West. By himself, he's so impressed.
We don't cancel anybody on this program except for Ryan Day. We canceled him and Urban Meyer and anybody else that might be playing at Ohio State, but you get uncanceled the minute that the Lions draft you. See, like Taylor Decker, Jeff Okuda, we uncancel people as they become advantageous to what we have going on. So that's good. When what day did you guys get down there, by the way?
We got down here yesterday, so we were looking at each other as a staff. And we said, why did we not just come Sunday? It's Christmas break, right? We got nothing going on campus. We should just came down here Sunday, and that would have been the right move, man. Let's get acclimated to the weather. You know,
do the Bobcats need boosters? Do you need Br0's buddies? You need a little booster by stay a couple extra nights in the hotel.
Yeah, let's get that collective going. Let's get the Br0's collective going. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, when you climb Mount Everest, you got to get acclimated, right? You stay at base camp for a while. You don't just show up and, you know, get your Sherpa and just climb it. Like, you got to sit at base camp for a while. And, you know, this warm weather is something to deal with. Like, let's sit at base camp for a while.
Yeah, and training in the beach, right? The sand is good for your bones. Yeah. It's good for your soul and agility and your ligaments and stuff. You gotta lube the joints, a little swing lube down there.
Yeah, exactly. Low impact, you know, on the beach, you know. Actually, as a matter of fact, like that's where I was jogging right now. I'm trying to find the beach, which, you know, I might settle for a river, but it's all good too. St. Pete's is a little far away.
Yeah, you could take the Skyway, one of the biggest bridges I have ever seen. I don't know what my fascination is with it, but it's incredible that they just stuck that in the water and said, you know what, this will work.
Did you see they're building a new one? So literally, I've been here twice now. The missus and I came for vacation last May, and they are literally building a new bridge right next to it. And if you've ever seen the construction of a bridge in a bay, it is fantastic. Like they got floating cranes going in there. You know, they're driving those pillars deep into the water.
Go check it out on the Detroit River. They're building the Gordie Howe Bridge right now. It's crazy. Oh.
Well, and that's even better name. At least it's the Gordie Howe Bridge. Up here, it's just the Skyway. That's the Tampa Skyway, right?
Yeah, I don't know what are they gonna do with the other Skyway?
You know, just kind of let it sink, right? You know, global warming. I guess the water's going up anyway, so they're just gonna make this one a little higher. And in a decade, you won't see the other one anyways, right? Isn't that the theory?
I don't know. If that's the case, boy, the property values are going to absolutely plummet. You know, I was riding on the Skyway. We went down there for a bachelor party, and we got there on, I think, Thursday in the afternoon at some point, and we ended up going out. And then I ended up, you know, I'm on the Skyway Friday morning at about 8 o'clock in the morning, sunglasses on. I couldn't even see out the window. I was like, jeez, what happened here? How did this happen? How could it happen? What's your tonight? The Florida Gators are the opponent. Can we do it? Can we do a scout? Can we do a scout here? Do you think you got Gators on the prowl down there?
Yeah, definitely. And by far, they are the best half-court defense that we've played. And there's a familiar name down there to Michigan fans. That's Colin Castleton, right? You know, so he transferred when I think Hunter Dickinson was coming in. I think John Teskey won the spot. You got Austin Davis, who was awarded his fifth year when Juwan Howard was there. And as Hunter Dickinson's coming in, you know, he threw up the deuces and duck lips and, you know, said, I'm going to go back home and play, right? And
deuces and duck lips. Oh, he's been on Instagram.
So he has quietly become one of the best bigs in the country, and this is the year of the bigs, right? And don't get it twisted. We played Hunter Dickinson 2 weeks ago now, and he is one of the best bigs in the country, if not the best. And Colin Castleton is not Hunter Dickinson, but he's in that conversation for top 10 big in the country. And this is the year of the big. Like, if you look around college basketball, you got Drew Timme, right? You got Hunter Dickinson. You got my man from Arizona, my man from UConn that I just watched on film, who was a beast. Like, this is a great year for big men.
Don't forget Purdue.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They got the biggest. They got Zach Edey, the biggest big man of all big men. It's 7 foot 13, 500 pounds. He's got a head the size of a football helmet.
I was going to say, don't forget the reigning National Player of the Year who returned to college for the first time in years. That's ever happened, Asht. And then you're talking about Zach Edey with Purdue and the number one team in the country right now. So this is the year of the big, and Colin Castleton is definitely in that conversation. Really, really good, really skilled, leads their team in assists. He's running their high post offense. You know, he can look the face up, rip and go, and he can even shoot it a little bit. So really, really good player. And on the other side of the ball, our offense, their defense, one of the best half-court defenses we'll face all year. You know, they do the old NBA system where they don't help off of ball screens. They put two guys in a ball screen, and they basically said 2v2. You can't kick it out for an open three. We're going to let you play 2v2, and hopefully your guard drives our big guy, and then he blocks you at the rim because they're 10th in the country in blocks. So it's a really challenging game. This is a semi-neutral since we're playing in Tampa, right? So Florida's coming from Gainesville. Obviously, we're coming from Athens. So it's what they call a semi-neutral, where it's more home for them, but still a semi-neutral court. So, you know, a really good opportunity. You don't get this opportunity very much in college basketball.
You know, you mentioned year of the big, and I was always wondering if it was ever going. The pendulum usually does swing back, and I'm glad that it has, because I think that, you know, and until you've seen one of these people in person, you have no idea how big 7 feet is until you see it in person. When they put their arm up, you're like, I'm supposed to shoot over that? Like, you got to be kidding me. A true 7-footer is just mammoth. And we're getting a lot of larger guards, guys that are 6'2", 6'3" at the point. We're seeing the small forward and power forward. I'm an old structure guy. I like 1 through 5. I don't really like positionless basketball where everybody just wants to shoot threes and everybody's 6'7". Like, I don't like that. I'm glad that the big man is making a resurgence and finding their groove back, because I think the game is better when you have Shaquille's and you have Hakeem's and you have Wilts and Kareem's. I mean, that's what I was born on, is having that big guy down low on the block. And whether you play 3 out, 2 in, which it's gone the way of the dodo, or 4 out, 1 in. I love that.
Yeah, there we go. Now we're talking. 3 out, 2 in might be dead. I mean, rarely do you see two.
It
bigs
might be
playing
dead.
at the same time.
The dodo. Extinct. Like a T-Rex.
It could be the dodo. Extinct. It was in your 4th grade history books, in that top little box in the left-hand corner is extinct animals. It might be dead. But the 4 out, 1 in is still an exciting brand of basketball. And now you see the teams who can't get those bigs will go 5 out. And we've played a couple of those teams already this year that go 5 out. Like Youngstown State did that, which we won on Sunday at the buzzer at Youngstown State. Check out the clip if you didn't see it. And we played Detroit. We lost at Detroit this year. They both play 5 out, where they want to spread the floor and create those driving lanes, driving angles. And, you know, we have a big man who's a traditional big and is really good, shooting 60% from the floor. So at that point, it's like, all right, if you're going to spread us out on one end, you know, we're going to score on the post on the other, and we'll see which style works out.
That's the big fella, Dwight Wilson, I believe you are referencing there. 6'8", 250 for volume 3 of the Dwight Wilson. He's a Tallahassee native too, if I'm not mistaken. So does he have a bunch of family coming to the game?
A ton of family coming to the game. We got 2 Florida guys, Dwight Wilson III, and then we have AJ Brown from Orlando as well. So 2 Florida guys, and you know, we can say we scheduled the game for them. But let's be honest, I do scheduling, and I saw a chance to go to Tampa Bay in December, and I said, yes, hit the like button, baby. Retweet with a quote. Like, we're going down there, because I walked off of that plane, it's 79 and sunny, and I was happy ever since.
Is this a trip that the wives get to go on too?
So since it's the middle of the week, that's the one part where I messed up. Middle of the week, so you know, it makes it a little harder. And
shucks.
You know, everybody's got jobs, right? Now, if it was a Saturday, Sunday, we could have been talking, right? But middle of the week, so a little more difficult for that.
And for the people that don't know Coach Barlow, I mean, this guy, when there's a road trip and he's on a basketball road trip and his wife gets to go, magic happens. Tell the people that don't know, that you know, they don't know how long we've been doing this together. Tell them where you proposed to your wife at.
Oh, on a beach in Italy, in Jesolo Beach, with a J. It's a soft J, like jogging, right? Jesolo Beach, and the words were "Voice Force Army." If you don't know it, look it up. And in Italian, it was a great time on a team trip in Italy in 2017.
You can't top that. Like I mean, that's the pinnacle. That's the peak.
What happened? What happened is all my friends got pissed off. They said,
"Why
what
is that?"
Doing? Because all of our wives are looking at this on Twitter and on Instagram and saying,
yeah.
now why couldn't you do this? Right? So the reverse effect, the reverse effect of that was I got yelled at by a lot of my friends.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. Like they, normal proposals, like normal. They maybe you go out to dinner. There's a
go
walk.
to Applebee's.
There's a random
go by the river.
Yeah, there's a random cameraman in the woods. Like, what's he doing here? Like, oh, pop the question. You got some family around, maybe some friends. You go to Jesolo Beach in Italia. You take her to the other side of the world to wine and dine, throwing spaghetti sauce everywhere. I love that. Yeah, good for everybody. That's just a win-win. I wanted, because we talked about Purdue just a moment ago. You mentioned, you referenced the number one team in the country. There were some comments made by Boeheim last year talking about the Big Ten's lack of success in the tournament. They do have 5 teams in the top 25. Michigan and Michigan State have both had their hiccups early on this year, but they're, I would say, top 35 based on votes and everything else. Where do you put the Big Ten in relation to the rest of the country?
It's among the best in the country, and if it's not number one, it's definitely number 2. And year in and year out, like I don't know the results of the Big Ten ACC Challenge this year. I think ACC might have won it, but I think the Big Ten, the last few years, the Big Ten has won it, and those are the 2 best basketball conferences in the country. I don't think it's argumentative. And and his argument was, well, if you're the best conference in the country, you don't win national titles. And it's like, you of all people, like Coach Boeheim should know, it's extremely hard to win a national title, and it takes a lot of luck. Like I remember in 2013, we were at Michigan. I was the GA there, and we beat them in the Final Four. Like I would say, it's probably a better judgment to draw as teams that make the Final Four, because once you get to that final weekend, I mean, anything can happen, but you have to be a dang good team to make that final weekend. And if you look at the stats, there's not that many outliers when it comes to the Final Four. It's usually a team that's top 10 in the country in offense and top 10 in the country in defense. And you can mix and match any of those stats, but usually that's what you end up with in the Final Four. And at that point, it's no fluke.
Yeah, the just so for our listeners, the Big Ten had won 8 of the 14 matchups in 2021. This year, the ACC strikes back. They went 8-6 this year. They had Duke beating Ohio State. They had Miami over Rutgers. They had Notre Dame over Michigan State. Virginia Tech over Minnesota. Pitt over Northwestern. God, Northwestern is bad. Clemson over Penn State, and Wake Forest over Wisconsin, and then Virginia over Michigan in a heartbreaker, the number 3 Cavaliers. Oh, that was a tough one to watch there. But I do like the fact that, yes, it is. If it's not 1, then it is 2. I like that. I like that a lot. I think it's good for Big Ten basketball. And I feel like there is more. There's more guys sticking around. I feel like a lot of that one and done chatter, people just kind of realize what it is, and they've moved past it. And as you mentioned, the big Oscar coming back, like what that meant to have the reigning National Player of the Year. You got Hunter Dickinson back for a 3rd year at Michigan. You got Malik Hall, a 74th year super senior at Michigan State. Like you got a lot of guys coming back. And it just feels like it's better for the sport. It feels like college basketball is taking a turn back to yesteryear as a whole.
Well, I think you play better basketball when you have older guys on the floor. Those guys have been there, and ask any coach, and you want older guys. And we just played a team in Youngstown State who is like the 10th oldest team in the country. They took a lot of grad transfers, so they have 5th-year senior, 5th-year senior, 6th-year senior, 4th-year senior. So I do think it's better for college basketball, and that's where you see the effects of NIL coming into college athletics, in a way that allows for better basketball and those guys to come back. You look at Hunter Dickinson and Oscar Tshiebwe, and those guys aren't traditional NBA big players, like post players. Like now they're not, the NBA is not going to post up back to the basket players. They're more run to the rim, rebound, and athleticism in that position. So NIL has really leveled the playing field when it comes to that, because now it's like Oscar Tshiebwe is making $2.1 million at least at Kentucky through NIL, And so now it's like, why would I get drafted late in the second round and not have a contract that's even that big? I might as well come back. The NBA will always be there. That second round draft pick will always be there. And if you're projected in that second round and you can get an NIL to match it or even go above it in the case of some of these guys, then why not, right? Why not go to college? I mean, college is the best years of lives. We all know that. We've been there.
Yeah, I mean, I would stay. I would absolutely stay. I don't think that. It's some people peak in high school. Really, college is the pinnacle. As long as you don't flunk out your first year. I think there's some growing pains there. Year number one that you got to realize why we are actually here and what it's going to take to continue to live with this same sort of quality of life. And how do we extend? It's just a lot of Br0's and high life. That's what it comes down to. You're balling on a budget.
Hey, don't forget about that freshman 15. You got to stave off that freshman 15 as well, man.
You know what's crazy is at one point early on in my freshman year is the heaviest I had ever been. I mean, it just happened like overnight. And then, joining the women's basketball practice squad, that was it. Like then it was like, hey, you're playing every day, you're lifting every day, like you're fine. It just melts right off. And then you hit like 33, 34, 35. And, now you got to run, 6 miles in a day, every day for the rest of your life to even try to get your metabolism to work. I don't even know if I have one. I haven't found it yet.
But what are you saying, Big Daddy? What Adam Sandler saying, Big Daddy? He's like, now I have a milkshake and my butt jiggles for a week, right? Like, it's so true. You got, like, we're out here. I see you on the treadmill, right? And I'm getting out here. I'm on the Riverwalk path right now, and it's like you got to work your butt off just to earn your breakfast, right?
Bro,
like,
you got to be at an 8,500 calorie deficit as an adult to lose a pound. I'm convinced. I'm gonna send you. I took a quick video yesterday. As I was finishing up, and my hand is on like the little arm of the treadmill, on the side thing, and I just have it, a puddle is down on the treadmill coming out of my sleeve. Like it's just soaking wet. I mean, it's what you got to do. You got to commit, and you got to go all in.
Anthony, I hate to break it to you, you're skinny, buddy.
He is. Anthony
you're in shape, dude. Like that's why you can't lose any weight.
Here's the key. Yeah. Here's my tip for when you get home. This is what you do. You get a big wok pan. You know what a wok pan is? I just bought one of these. It is giant. It's going to take up like your whole stove, right? You take cauliflower rice and you substitute the cauliflower rice with regular rice, and you make chicken fried rice.
Yeah.
With the cauliflower. And I that's all I've been eating. I've been eating that every day of the week now, multiple times a day for like 3 straight weeks.
Sounds miserable. What did I text you last night? You were texting me last night. I said, man, let me enjoy my oysters and my beer in peace. I'm in Tampa, Ohio. You don't get this stuff in the Midwest. You don't get it fresh in the Midwest. Let me enjoy my seafood. And if I want to get fried calamari, I'm gonna get fried calamari. I'm not doing your substitute rice recipe every day. Come on.
No, don't substitute anything. Yeah, live a little while you're down there. We're in pain now so that we can live a little when it's our time to get down there. He's the coach, Kyle Barlow. Find him on Twitter at KyleBarlow4. Coach Barlow live in Tampa, building a bridge down there. Have fun. Best of luck against the Gators tonight.
Appreciate it. Thanks, man.
There he goes, the coach, Kyle Barlow. Always good catching up with him. I like to talk to him. That's basically what it comes down to. See, there's been a lot of work here from the text line. There must have been some late night texting going on. To our text line.
Yeah, maybe some apologies need to be handed out, Anthony.
I am ready and willing to get that phone line going and to hear anyone's apology they'd like to say.
But also maybe let's see what happens with Killian Hayes after France is done playing in the World Cup.
Oh, were talking about Killian.
Maybe it's just a World Cup bump for Killian Hayes.
Killian Hayes, Kylian Mbappe. Killian's Irish Red. Kid was good last night.
So
and we will be talking about that because my goodness was he good last night. That he's got that right wing. He's got that down. That's where he wants to be. And he put up some buckets last night that were silky smooth from the right third of the floor. My goodness.
It's just nice that he's actually showing something.
I mean, I'm doing all this over 25 points. I'm not asking
but that's
out there like
but
Joel
it's not
Embiid
just
dropped 50.
But it's not just 25 points. It's the fact that in the last few weeks he's putting together consistent performances that are helping the team. He's not just wandering around on the court.
The funny thing is, I
Like
saw
the Hebrews out of the desert.
Did you see the comparison, the Tyrese Halliburton to one of the Steve Nash MVP years?
No, I didn't
Yeah.
see that. Is
He
that on
has-
Twitter?
Yeah, I believe it was. I'll see if I can find it. But yeah, Tyrese Halliburton has better numbers right now than in one of Steve Nash's MVP seasons.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we'll talk about it. But those guys are going to forever be linked in Detroit sports. The Detroit sports. I don't even know. Is it lure? Is that the right word? Lore. That'll be the right word. I mean, I'm just getting hammered on the text message here. I'm trying to talk and read some of this at the same time. But my goodness, is that a lot going on there or what? I am excited for a little bit later on in the show at 7:35 when we can jump into a little bit of the Detroit Lions and how now all of a sudden everyone is on the bandwagon. I mean, all aboard. That train is coming. And I mean, this is like when they first put together the Transcontinental Railroad, right? And they'd have those stops along the way in old Western films. It would just be like one standalone building in the middle of nowhere. That building is loaded up, ready for the Detroit Lions train with the conductor, Dan Campbell himself, to swing on by and pick everybody up. And it's exciting. I'm not going to lie. It is a lot. Today's going to be a lot of fun, and I'm very much looking forward to it. So it's good. What did you guys watch last night on TV? If you only had one, did you watch the Red Wings or did you watch the Pistons?
I had the Pistons on for second half and overtime. Had the children's, church play last night.
Ooh.
Oh, yes. Need to hear.
So my youngest son was Joseph in the play. My oldest was one of the wise men. But I just remember picking them up from Sunday school this past Sunday. The Sunday school teacher looks at my youngest, goes, "I hope Calm Joseph shows up on Wednesday." So he was good. And then it was just, the teenagers came up, read the verses, and the kids were pretty much just props as Mary, Joseph, and the wise men and the
Did your
angels.
son bring the gold, the frankincense, or the myrrh? Do you know?
I think it was myrrh. I think he was supposed to, because there's not a lot of kids, so I think he ended up representing all of the wise men.
Nice.
But they both had big, fake, bushy beards on, so it was great. And then in between the verses, there were some hymns, and my youngest son was just dancing his heart out like nobody was watching up on the altar.
That's fabulous. I, too, was once Joseph in the Christmas play at church. So, bright future ahead for your young
The
Joseph.
pressure that he was under.
Yes. Yes, that's before he gets his Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's interesting when you meet people from different places, and then it comes out that you all shared like a very those are pretty similar experiences, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of strange. I mean, you're born, you're up in Clarkson. I'm in Monroe. Dan's in Dearborn, and we all had the Christmas play. Like it's I don't know.
We never actually did a Christmas. We did like a Santa Claus based Christmas
No, we
play.
did.
We did not do the
heathens.
Ryan.
I know.
We did every 8th grade class did the Passion play, the Passion of the Christ. That was our big play of the year.
So you go from sweet, innocent,
Oh, you got
children's play to Death of Christ.
nothing better than all the old ladies crying in the first 3 rows.
Wow, you guys must have put on a hell of
Oh
a
yeah,
performance.
we did.
As an 8th grader, I think we were in 8th or 7th grade, they actually took us on a field trip to go see Passion of the Christ.
Oh boy, the movie or
No.
a
Yeah.
play?
Yeah,
film.
say that.
Jeez.
I remember our
film.
church did that. It was just more like my parents like, "Do you want to see it?" I go, "No."
Oh, no, our school did that. And it was
Was-
like, hey, you got to get a permission slip. I'm like, we're going to the movies. And then you sit there and you watch it and you're like, yeah, man, this guy.
I'm gonna go
really-
use the restroom and go see Transformers for the next 40
this
minutes.
guy, like, dear goodness, what is going on here? Like, that's a lot. That is a lot. As a 6th, 7th, and 8th grader, kids are sitting there like, jaws on the floor. Like, wow, did this really happen? It does give you a new kind of a new perspective on things a little bit. So UC's regents approved UCLA's Big Ten move, including some conditions here. So this is interesting. UCLA officially headed to the Big Ten after receiving approval from the University of California Regents Wednesday, but the approval comes with some stipulations here. So this is now 5 months after the Bruins, along with USC, announced their shocking intentions to leave the Pac-12 and to join the Big Ten as the superpower ultimate conference. But the UC Board of Regents chair and UCOP president recommended allowing UCLA to continue its move to the Big Ten in a special meeting yesterday. The Board of Regents approved the move by a vote of 11-5. As a part of this board's decision, UCLA will have to increase its expected investment in student-athlete resources and might have to provide a subsidy to the University of California, Berkeley, in the range of $2 million to $10 million once a Pac-12 media deal is secured. A UCOP spokesperson said the frequency of the subsidy to UC Berkeley is yet to be determined. What kind of program do they have out there in California? Have you ever heard of anything like this in your life? You're basically paying. Are you paying alimony? We're done. Why do they have to pay? Why does UCLA have to pay?
Sounds like child
Cal
support.
Berkeley to leave. What is this?
Do you remember? And now it's all of college sports just kind of, aligning to different conferences. Remember when we all lost our stuff over the Super League for soccer?
Oh, I do. I do. I can't. That is so that came and went so fast. I forgot about it.
We're gonna take all the best teams and make our own league. You can't do that. Bring on USC and UCLA to the Big Ten. Money, money, money.
Unbelievable. What a good comparison. Exactly what's happened here. We're going to form a Super League. Well, they're trying to form their Super League.
I think it's just because of how terrible the name was. If it was called anything but the Super League,
might have worked.
Like, hey, we're going to create the SWAC out in England for soccer. It's like, all right, cool. We're good with that. Can Utah join? Like, we're fine.
Some Southwest football championship club soccer, all that.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, 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 money.
Dollar, dollar, dollar. Ching, ching, bling, bling, cut the chatter. You ain't talking money, then your talking don't matter. Ching, ching, bling, bling, patent pockets. We take the dollar, dollar, can it?
Welcome back here to X's and Bros, Michigan Sports Network, broadcasting live all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio as well, from Traverse City down to the Glass City, GR to the Motor City. We say good morning to you. We welcome you. We thank you. We appreciate you. And, of course, we encourage you to join this show. Text the keyword sports radio, send it to 21,000, or call us on the Myers Supercenter guest line, 248-951-2176. That's where we find the man, the myth, the legend from Paramount Sports. Find him on Twitter at Paramount Sports. Visit ParamountSports.com. Our good buddy Lee Sterling. Lee! It's the most wonderful time of the year, baby. It's bowl season.
And can you believe it? The Detroit Lions are fighting for a playoff spot. This is insane.
I told that, I'm getting hammered right now, Lee, because I stuck by the team. Because when things got tough, I don't jump ship, Lee. That's why they're coming after the kid here. They're coming after me because when everybody, when they're 1-6 and the sky is falling, I unsheathed my sword like Jon Snow in Game of Thrones and said, bring it on, we're not leaving. And guess what? They're the hottest team in the NFL. I get on the elevator Sunday, and I'm with 4 guys from the league office, and we're all riding the elevator together, and they're like, hey, how you doing? And I just gave an exhale. I said, it's hard out there. And they said, what is? I said, it's hard being the best
you know what? So
best bleeping team in the NFL. They all started laughing.
It's incredible, this journey. So I had an over ticket on the season wins, and I was not feeling good at all, obviously, at 1-6. But, I mean, to fathom, I should have been playing them to make the playoffs. I undersold them. So I like their team this year, and now with Williams coming back, from the injury at receiver, this team's ready to go. Let's see what they can do. And I will be there on Sunday in the Meadowlands for the Jets and Lions game.
So if you were there in the Meadowlands to watch I usually chant their name. I'm not doing it. If you want to go, if you're seeing the Detroit Lions and that team from New York that plays in New Jersey, if you're doing that, go find Lee Sterling, tweet at him at Paramount Sports, invite him to your tailgate.
Right.
Lee, let's start the Big Ten, big time game between Utah and Penn State.
Yeah, Rose Bowl here, playing it after the semifinal game's kind of strange that that's taking place, but that's the way it works. Utah completed the same season double win over USC. Did it. They lost some key guys. Tevion Thomas, their running back down the stretch, lost their best tight end. Keith, he lost him early, and now Dalton Kincaid's gone. Now, Penn State will also be without Joey Porter, but I think Penn State's going to be able to run the ball on a Utah defense that hasn't faced a duo like Nicholas Singleton and also Katron Allen here. So Penn State, how about this? 16-3 straight up, 17-1 against the spread off 2 or more wins in a row here. I think Penn State gets it done in the Rose Bowl, 31-27.
Wow, that'd be a great win for the Big Ten as Utah says goodbye to USC and UCLA. All right, you have Georgia in the semifinal game matched up against Ohio State. I was shocked. Georgia only -6. No Jackson Smith and Jigba. He hasn't been around all season. And Trayvon Henderson, he's out too, and it's only 6. Lee, I feel like Georgia's going to smack them 50-6.
I don't know about 50-6. No, you're excited this morning. I think they're going to win and cover, but let me tell you something. Ohio State's going to be up against it. If they thought they were facing a tough group of players, this is a different level. So they got guys that are going to go top 5, top 7, top 8 on the offensive line, defensive line. They have 2 tight ends, might be 2 of the top 3 tight ends in the country. Unless Georgia implodes and Stetson Bennett throws like 3 interceptions, I can't see it happening. I mean, Michigan dominated them here. Georgia will destroy them here. I like Georgia big here, 40-17.
I think 40-6. I was like, Lee, we're right there. Grab a sledgehammer. We're hammering the Bulldogs. All right, Michigan, 7-point favorites against TCU. Lee, we actually gave away a trip. Congratulations to Dan in Wyoming. An all-inclusive trip to this bowl game here. They're going to join me out in the desert for Michigan versus TCU.
Okay, so TCU is a great story. From 5-7 in 2021 to 12-1 season this year with a backup quarterback to start the year, Max Duggan. I don't know if you know this. He had a 9-hour heart procedure, heart operation, a few weeks before the season started. This is incredible what this kid has done. He was the Heisman runner-up. The kid, if you saw the end of their Big 12 championship game, you root for the kid here. But here's the bottom line here. Michigan here has the better offensive line in front 7. TCU's going to have to hit on some big plays and play error-free here. They can't go toe-to-toe with Michigan. College football semifinalists who allow more than 23 points per game in the regular season, 0-4 straight up, 1-3 against the spread, and that is TCU. Michigan is 1-5-1 against the spread in bowls after beating Ohio State. But this year's team just looks hungrier, and I don't think they're just happy going to the big dance. Big Blue, Michigan, 34-20.
Ooh, music to my ears. Thank you.
Yep.
And it took me everything in my professional world not to make any jokes about heart palpitations or anything like that. I'm keeping it professional here, and Michigan's defense could be all over Mr. Duggan. All right, Minnesota, 4-point favorites against Indianapolis. Boy, how about those Vikings? God bless them.
They have a nice 10-3 record, but I think they're frauds. First 10-3 team in the NFL history to carry a -point differential. They gave up 460 yards of offense here, and that includes 330 passing yards and 3 touchdown passes, as you saw to Jared Goff last week in that 34-23 loss. They're giving up more than 400 yards early and often. The Colts, they needed that bye. Matt Ryan, at times still capable of putting up some passing numbers. He does turn the ball over here from time to time. But Minnesota offensive line, how about this, has given up 2 or more sacks in 8 of the last 10 games. Indy, 2 or more sacks in 9 of the last 10 games. I think Indy's going to win the turnover battle. They pull the upset. The wrong team is favored. Colts outright 30-28.
Now, I'm going to skip the next game and go first to your free play right now that you have San Francisco, the 49ers. Will Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, leading the Niners to victory. Can they do that against Seattle and Geno Smith, who started really hot, but now they might be a little shaky?
Yeah, tonight's game, I got a real strong opinion on this game. This is a client play. Anyone wants to get it for free. Usually don't give out client plays for free. Just call 800-400-9741. We'll give you the game for free. 800-400-9741. You want to get that San Francisco-Seattle game tonight on me. We've won 13 out of 18 weeks this year, an incredible season. How about this? We call it Double Down December. Last 2 weeks of the NFL and 37 games. That's right. 37 games are going to be played from this Friday through December 31st. Everything in December in football we have, just $197. How do you get it? Just one place, ParamountSports.com.
Now the big one,
Yep.
The Detroit Lions, with everything on the line, head to the Meadowlands to take on a team in New Jersey that says they're from New York. The Jets in the Battle of Dearborn. Aiden Hutchinson against Robert Saleh. Who do you like? The Lions are a 1-point favorite.
Yep. Jared Goff has played incredible down the stretch, the last 3 games. But remember this, all 3 were indoors here. Loser of this game's going to have a tough time making the playoffs. Detroit, number 6 scoring offense. Jets defense is salty. Number 3, they got a couple guys in defensive backfield that make plays here. So this is going to be a tough game. It's going to be a physical game. That's the way the Jets play here. Detroit, they're going to have to, improve on the defense. It has been better of late here, but they're going to have to, I think, hold the Jets here to 2 or less touchdowns, I think, to win this game here. Jared Goff, one of the worst cold weather quarterbacks. Now, the weather is going to be mid to upper 30s for the game, no rain or anything, but I think playing outdoors might be a factor. As long as Zach Wilson, the now number 2 quarterback, doesn't have to enter the game for the Jets, I hate to say it because I do not like the stinking New York Jets. Jets 24-20.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Lee. But hey, look, there's a reason when you.
I hope I'm wrong. I hope I go 4-1.
Yes.
It's not going to be a client play for my clients, but it's a tough game. I think this game goes right down to the wire. Maybe
there's a reason that Lee Sterling, when you call 800-400-9741, you're calling the St. Louis Tower. They're overlooking the Mandarin Oriental there in Brickell Key. It's the penthouse suite for Lee Sterling, baby. That's who he is. Find him on Twitter at Paramount Sports. Lee, as always, my friend, thank you so much for the time. Safe travels up there to the Empire State.
Yeah, thanks so much. I just want to wish you, Anthony, and your staff, and Dan, and all the listeners out there a happy, healthy, and safe New Year. I will be, like I said, at the game. Anyone's going, hit me up. Love to visit your tailgate, have some fun. I will be rooting for the Lions. And also, if you're watching the Orange Bowl, December 30th game, my daughter's singing the national anthem. So no booing the national anthem singer for this one. Everyone have a great, happy, healthy, and safe New Year.
All right, Orange Bowl. We got on the schedule. Lee, happy holidays to you and yours as well, and enjoy the time with the daughter this weekend.
Sounds good. Take care, buddy.
There he goes, Lee Sterling. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Call the Meyer Supercenter guest line at 248-951-2176 to join the program. 248-951-2176. Dan in the studio. Do we have some activity over there? I hear.
We do. We have a special guest.
A special guest
joining us on the Meyer Supercenter guest line. That is Dan from Wyoming.
Hey, the Fiesta Bowl winner! Dan in Wyoming, good morning to you. Happy Thursday, partner. How the hell are you doing?
I am doing great. How are you?
I'm fantastic, man. Congratulations. You won the Fiesta Bowl package. I got to know, man, how you feeling?
I'm still in a state of disbelief. Doesn't seem real yet.
Good. A state of disbelief is good. Well, the good news is it's real. It's actually happening. When did you find out? I know that I was at work and I had gotten the text and my phone was ringing. I couldn't answer it. And I looked down and I opened up my phone. It says Dan in Wyoming. And I wanted to know what it was like when you opened up that text message.
I was shocked. I didn't actually think I would win.
feel like the lottery?
Yeah.
Well, I don't have 20 million to give you. But we
It's
can, but
okay.
we can get you to the Fiesta Bowl. We can get you the airfare. We can get you the 3-night stay in Scottsdale. It's going to be absolute bananas. Access to all the events. So you gotta carve out at least a little time. You and I can have a beverage together. What like who are you going to bring on the trip? Have you decided that yet?
Yes, my wife.
Smart man. See, wife
Good
is
choice. Good choice.
What was her response when you told her?
She was really surprised.
Man, that's that is fantastic. Well, we are Dana, Wyoming, man. We are happy for you. How long you been a Michigan fan?
My whole life.
Oh, that's just perfect. Do you ever get an opportunity to go to the big house or to go to any of the games? I know Wyoming's a little bit of a drive from Ann Arbor.
I have not been in a couple years, just money-wise and stuff.
Yeah, this is great then, Dan. I couldn't be happier for you, my friend. I'm very excited to be able to, one, get you out on this trip, two, be able to meet you when you get into, because I'll be there the day before. So when I get a chance to swing over there and get a chance to meet you and the missus, excited about that. Hopefully you guys have just the most wonderful time, man. Congratulations once again. We're all very happy for you.
Well, thank you so much.
You are welcome. And tell the wife we said hello. We'll see you guys in the desert.
All right, sounds good.
Dan in Wyoming, baby. Oh yeah. Poor guy's in shock. We called him. He's in a state of shock. But it's a celebration.
I think he's still in shock because
he's definitely still
because
in shock.
like people, you win some raffles in your life, like you win the wine basket at the company party.
Ooh.
You might win a 50-50 raffle at your kids' charity thing. You never envision winning a trip, like we said, is like a showcase showdown where you get to go to the desert. You get round trip airfare. You're staying at this beautiful resort. And then you get to see your favorite team compete for a national championship.
Simply incredible. All right, let's get to it. It's time to get you a look at the NFL schedule to come, the lines, the weather, and everything else involved in this week's edition of Best Bets.
Bets, hit the music. Whoever.
Hit the music, Dan.
My bad. Hang on a
I don't know who
second.
controls the music.
He wasn't ready. Oh, no. It's
ready.
okay. There we go.
All right, Anthony, you went
Yes.
5-8 last
Can't
week.
pick my nose this season.
But guess what? That was the best record of the week between the three of us, as Dan and I went 4-9. Dan, with the 4-9 record, now is a crisp 100-107 on the year picking NFL games, is leading the way in our NFL picks this season. We'll start off Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime. We have Mr. Irrelevant Brock Purdy, or as they call him, BCP. Or no, BCB. Kind of like Nick Foles' nickname, but they use another word. So,
Oh, wow.
Yep. We have the 49ers. They're traveling to Seattle. Kenneth Walker looks like a go for tonight. The Niners, 3-point favorites on the road.
Well, look, here's the deal, folks. We're all Niners fans tonight. Like, this is what it, now you got to pay attention to everything. Now we're locked into Prime Video. I got to watch this in the basement the whole night. I can't go upstairs because I don't have a smart TV or a Roku stick or this stick, that stick. Stick these. We're taking the Niners, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, I'll take the Niners. Seattle's just falling apart.
Yeah, clean sweep for the Niners. That defense is too legit to quit. So you just got to pick the Niners here. Moving on, we have the Colts. They're traveling to Minnesota, take on the fraudulent Vikings. Vikings 4-point favorites at home.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna go with Lee Sterling. Wrong team favorite. Colts cover. Let's go.
I'll take Minnesota.
Yeah, as much as fraudulent the Vikings are, the Colts just stink. And Matt Ryan is a statue back there. Give me the Vikings -4. They clinch the division with the win over the Colts. Speaking of the Colts, Baltimore, they're traveling to Cleveland. believe they once left that town, and for good reason. They travel, take on the Brownies. Brownies, 3-point favorites at home.
Ooh, this one is tough. Boy, this one is tough. I mean, Baltimore, what's going on here? But Baltimore is, playing for their divisional and playoff lives right now. I'm going with Baltimore. Means a whole lot more. They're going to go on the road. They got to win. They're used to playing in bad weather. Lamar Action Jackson. Let's go. J.K. Dobbins. Nobody's talking about. Let's go.
Yeah, but it sounds like it's going to be Huntley.
Huntley's injured as well.
Yeah, it sounds like he is potentially going to play. I'll take Cleveland. I think Deshaun, third game, he'll figure it out a little bit.
He'll figure it out a little bit, but not enough. Wrong team is favored. Give me Baltimore.
Yes.
+3 on the road. Next up, these games are all Saturday night Saturday that we are talking about at the moment. We have an AFC East matchup. We have the Miami Dolphins. They're traveling to Buffalo. Buffalo, 7-point favorites at home.
Did I hear that it was 50 degrees and the Dolphins were using heated benches?
You're wrong. It was 55 degrees.
55, and that was that in San Francisco or L.A.?
Somewhere in Southern California.
Yeah,
so
L.A. then.
L.A.
Yeah, they were using heated bench. They're not ready. They're not ready. Buffalo. I mean, if you're using a heated bench when it's 55 out, that's damn near tropical.
Yeah, they were literally just talking about this. The weather forecast is 30 degrees with a wind chill of 20 and 2 to 3 inches of snow.
They're dead.
I will
Bills.
take Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Josh Allen, rocket arm,
Yes.
looks good in shorts,
Yes.
can play in cold weather,
Yes.
and doesn't wear candy uniforms in cold weather. Give me the Bills. -100 over the Dolphins
You wanna
on
know why?
Saturday night.
Because nobody circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills.
Now we move on to the Sunday slate. The Philadelphia Eagles, they have their playoff spot. He's clinched up already. They're traveling to Chicago. Justin Fields questionable due to illness this Sunday. Eagles, 9-point favorites on the road.
Yeah, Philly, as you mentioned, clinching their playoff berth, 12-1. They're going to win this game. Justin Fields, illness. He's sick of that team. They're terrible. Give me the Eagles, big.
That's good. Yikes. I'll take Chicago.
I won't. Give me the Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. No, if Justin Fields does not play, Chicago will score 5 points in this game. They might luck into a safety as their offense. There's nothing else to that team. Give me the Eagles. Next up, we have Atlanta. They're fighting for a division title. New Orleans, they're fighting for a division title. Why? Because their division stinks. New Orleans, 4-point favorites at home.
Yeah, we're all done with the Marcus Mariota. We got Desmond Ridder taking over as the Falcons starter, so therefore I'm going to go with New Orleans. So let's ride with the Saints. They're a mess. I hear they might be looking to offer a massive buyout to their current head coach, and they may be going back after Sean Payton.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, how can you imagine
Who was
that?
it, Dennis Allen? I don't know.
Correct.
I don't know how they can keep putting Andy Dalton back there. But, yeah, going up against Desmond Ridder, I'll take the Saints.
Clean sweep on the Saints. I like Desmond Ridder, but first game jitters. Going to New Orleans, that defense won't pan out well for them. Next up, we have the next team vying for that NFC South Division title, the Carolina Panthers. They are hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers fighting for their 500 lives, as Mike Tomlin has never finished under 500 as a head coach. Carolina, 3-point favorites at home.
I'm going to go with the Steelers here. We need the Steelers here, folks. We got to get a Steelers victory. Mike Tomlin's got to get his guys juiced up. Let's go. We need Pittsburgh not only to cover, we need an outright winner from Pittsburgh, folks.
Is Kenny Pickett going to miss this game? Concussion protocol, right? Isn't he in
Possibly.
protocol? I don't like that. I will take the Panthers.
I'm going to be a good Lions fan and take
Yes.
Pittsburgh.
Yes, you are.
To cover, to win, to help. We need all the help. Let's take the help. So, give me Pittsburgh +3. Next up, we have the Dallas Cowboys. They're traveling to Anthony's second home of Duval County.
Duval!
Cowboys, 4-point favorites on the road.
Give me the boys.
Yeah, this is a little fishy. I mean, Jags are playing better. Trevor Lawrence seems like he's figuring it out. 4 points makes me wonder. I'm going to take the Jags.
Jacksonville, they are an every other week team. Last week they looked really good. This week they won't. Give me Dallas, -4. And I just need to make a note to take Jacksonville next week, as they'll look like the best team in the world. But
they got a real coach.
They do, and everyone loves them there. So that's a huge difference. Next up, Kansas City Chiefs. They're traveling to Houston to take on the Texans. Texans, they fought hard in their Super Bowl of Dallas, but came up a little short. Chiefs, 14-point favorites.
It's a huge line. I think Houston takes a step back. I think the last week was probably pretty emotionally exhausting. We saw this a little bit happen with the Lions, where you have that up and down where you're just not quite good enough, and it's tough to rally and put two really good performances together. I think Kansas City walks in there and rolls them.
Dan's going to take Houston because 14's too much for his blood.
It's not for KC. I'll take Kansas City.
All right, I'm going to take Kansas City. Houston, they're going to try two quarterbacks this week again with Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll. And, yeah, it's not going to work because it's Davis Mills and Jeff Driscoll. Give me the Chiefs. You know it. I love big lines. Next up, Arizona. Their season's done for. Kyler Murray on IR. Rondell Moore on IR. They're traveling to Denver. Broncos, let's ride. 3-point line.
Oh, this is terrible. Give me Denver at home. Mile High, tough to play in. Cardinals are a mess.
Can't do it. Give me the Cardinals. Denver is absolutely awful.
You know who else is absolutely awful? Arizona. Who could imagine Cliff Kingsbury, a very average to below average college football coach, would be a very average to below average NFL coach? It's almost like the numbers were right there staring at you. Give me Denver, -3 at home. Next up, we have the Patriots. They're traveling to Las Vegas. And hey, forget, what's that team called out in Las Vegas?
The Raiders.
There you go. It's a pick 'em for the Patriots Raiders.
Give me the Raiders. The hell with Matt Patricia.
I'll take the Raiders. Matt Patricia, he might get fired here in the next couple weeks or move to a different position on the staff.
He'll be ahead of Space Force coming up here in the next 6 weeks. Give me the Raiders in the home game. Pick 'em. Next up, we have the Titans. They're falling fast. We have the Chargers. They looked good last week, but someone will probably get hurt in this game. The Chargers, they're at home, but kind of on the road. 3-point favorites.
I got to roll Br0's Bolts, baby. Got to win by 3.5. Win by 4. Let's go. Come on, Justin Herbert.
I'll take the Chargers. Titans are done.
Not so fast, my friends. Wow. Just when you think the Chargers are good, they'll stink it up for you.
Amen to that.
Give me the Titans, +3 on the road. They'll remind everybody that we win the worst division in football every single year. Next up, the Cincinnati Bengals. They're traveling to take on Tampa Tom and the retirees of the Buccaneers. Bengals, 3.5-point favorites on the road.
Give me Cincinnati. They got a lot to play for right now. Tampa Bay is reeling. They look vulnerable. This could be a really good game for Joe Burrow.
I will take the Bengals by a bunch.
Same here. Just love the Bengals. Tampa, they're not a good team, and Tom Brady doesn't want to be there. It's just plain and simple. Next up, the teams that tied 2 weeks ago. We have the G-Men. We have the Commanders. The Lions have the tiebreaker over both, but the tie kind of screws that over. Commanders, 4.5-point favorites at home.
Give me the G-Men to cover. I'm going to ride with Scott. Doesn't really matter who wins. Just give me the Giants to get the points.
I'll take Washington at home.
Since these teams tied last time, I'm going to take the Giants. 4.5. Too rich for my blood after a tie of two teams. So give me the G-men. Let's go for another tie. Just be we're equally as good. We played 2 games. We tried. It's a tie. Next up, we have Monday Night Football. It's gross. It's the Rams traveling to Green Bay. Packers 7-point favorites at home.
Wow. Give me Green Bay. They got to win. They have to win. So I'll take Green Bay. The Rams are
Come on, give me Baker Mayfield and the Rams. I'm taking Baker and the Rams.
I want the pick. Give me Green Bay.
You're mad because you just you forgot that Baker was there until just now.
I want the pick though, so the Rams got to lose. But they could cover.
I'm going to go with the Packers. Christian Watson looks like a problem. He's going to be a problem all Monday night long for the Rams. So give me the Packers. And finally, we have the Lions. They're traveling all the way to New Jersey to play a team that says they're from New York. And they are the Jets. This game is still a pick-em. Anthony.
Well, you'll never see more coverage of the Lions on ESPN than you will this week as they take on the Jets. They just did playoff implications. They just did picks. It's incredible. Both teams playing for their playoff lives. The Lions are the better football team. You know, Mike White, although the record it favors Zach Wilson, Mike White in the passing game, much improved for the New York Jets because Zach Wilson, like I said, he fooled everybody throwing one pass in gym shorts to the guy chasing him with a broomstick during his pro day. Not ready to be an NFL quarterback. So I'm going to take the Detroit Lions, and I'm going to take another statement victory here this weekend.
It's the Battle of Ford Road. Give me Aiden Hutchinson and the Lions.
Yes.
Come on. Can't go anywhere else.
It's a true homecoming for Robert Saleh. Grew up in Michigan, left, and is now somewhere else. Give me the Lions. I think Aiden Hutchinson, James Houston, they continue what Buffalo did to Mike White and just keep hitting him hard and pretty much turning to the Monstars. I hit him high, I hit him low. And, yeah, give me the
Eagles
Lions.
fight song. The Eagles fight song right there. And those are your best bets. We're all in on the Lions. Oh, and we had an update on EMU's Monty Bates as well. He was sentenced to 18 months of probation on Wednesday after pleading guilty to a misdemeanor gun charge. Speaking of gun charges, Mozzie Smith's date he was supposed to be, the date was going to be the 29th.
Can I tell you?
Yeah.
I got a year probation. I was 16 years old.
Oh, you're a felon.
I threw one egg, hit a house. An egg, one.
You threw one egg and you got a year probation?
I did.
Well, you shouldn't have thrown the egg then. Or you should have
how do you
caught.
get 18 months? How do you get 18 months? I didn't get caught. The cops showed up at my house, and my mom made me admit to it.
So
they saw the car.
So you got caught. Because if you wouldn't have got caught, you wouldn't have done it.
I mean, I was 100 yards away. It's not like,
Did you egg your own house, Dan?
No, yeah, I egged my own house. I won't say. The guy now he was a Disney celebrity. Now he's like, yeah, he's semi-famous. The guy.
You threw an egg at a Jonas brother. That's incredible. Geez. The stories
Taylor
this guy's
Lautner,
got.
you took out the Twilight Kid?
The Twilight Kid?
I don't
literally had
care. I'll
egg on
say
his
his name.
face.
I
His
went
name.
to. His name's Gary. I know him as Gary. He goes by Garrett Clayton. Is his Hollywood name.
Sounds like he carries a.
He was in the
a lever action.
He was actually in the live production of Hairspray on NBC.
Wow. Can't say I've ever seen that. Don't know anything about it. So, but hey, Dave's on NBC, so shout out to him. Thanks for throwing an egg at his face. Jeez. So you got 1 year for an egg.
I'm just saying, how do I get a year for one egg? And
this guy got
Dan throws an egg and ends up on his face. It's just.
Yeah. And Amani got a year and a half for a firearm. And Mozzie Smith, he's supposed to have his date on the 29th, but they're obviously going to be in Arizona, so they pushed that back. So that's good. And then Officer Rob, he was so mad yesterday over the Mozzie Smith thing. And I said, look, bro, it's nothing that we don't already know about the justice system. You work in an arm of the justice system, but we all know that if you got it, things are different. That's just the way that it is. It has always been like that. It will always be like that because there is no such thing as fair. And if you do not have some sort of status, the law will treat you differently. That's the way the justice system works. It really is, especially for something that isn't like incredibly heinous. You know, it's not like we're talking about like somebody running around like Texas Chainsaw or something like that. Like nobody was hurt. He's a celebrity. He's gonna get the benefit of the doubt. Whether you want to blame that on Michigan or whatever, but could be a first or second round draft pick. Like he's going to get the nod, especially nobody got hurt. Yeah, we'll push that back. It's really not that. Somebody got shot, then you got a different story. But until then, like, yeah, and he's celebrity status. How many celebrities have gotten, X amount of months of probation or how many hours of community service for crimes that had you and I committed, things would be different. I'm sorry. I know it's aggravating to listen to, but that's the way that it goes. Imani Bates gets 18 months of probation. What would a regular citizen get? I don't know, but it's probably not going to be 18 months. It's probably going to be a little bit different than that. So I'm Anthony Bellino at AC Bellino. Gentlemen, we do have college football this weekend, which means we have a college football edition of Best Bets on the bowl slate. What's going on over there?
My computer's freezing at the moment.
That's okay.
That's what's going on.
That's good that it froze because nobody needed to know how poor I was this college football season.
That's all right. From conference championship weekend, Anthony, you and I went 5-5 in our conference championship picks.
5-5.
Yes. Dan went 3-7.
Whoa.
That's what's has held Dan back in the overall record for picks this year. Might be the worst display of college picks I've ever seen.
Well, he's a pro guy. That's why he doesn't have a college team, because he's a pro guy. He doesn't care about Michigan State. He likes Ole Miss and the Lions. What the hell?
So, but we'll get on to our college picks. They will not appear on your screen as I can't get them up there at the moment, but I have all of them written down. First one up, it's today.
Yes.
3 o'clock. We're going to go with the Duluth Trading Cure Bowl. It is a ranked matchup. We have number 25, UTSA, versus number 24, Troy. The Roadrunners of Texas San Antonio are 2-point favorites.
Give me UTSA. I'm gonna ride with the Roadrunners specifically because they have a better mascot.
Yeah, let's go Roadrunners. Meep meep.
Meep meep.
All right, where is this Cure Bowl? I don't even know.
Orlando, Florida.
Orlando, Florida. Dang, I was hoping Alabama make it easier to pick Troy. I will make the clean sweep of UTSA. Next up, we have probably the most fun storyline of any bowl game.
We're going Wasabi, aren't we?
Wasabi Fenway Bowl.
Yes.
We have Cincinnati. We have Louisville. It is Saturday, 11 o'clock on ESPN. If you don't know the story, the coach's full name is escaping me, but Louisville's coach,
Nick Satterfield,
left Louisville to take the job of Cincinnati. And now they face each other in a bowl game. Satterfield will not be at the game.
They are on the same sideline because of the layout of the field.
Wow.
So
and Cincinnati, or pardon me, Louisville, after Nick Satterfield left for Cincinnati, Louisville hired their favorite son, Jeff Br0's,
Yes.
from Purdue.
So Louisville, 2-point favorites.
Cincinnati, Louisville's going to be an utter chaos. I'm going with the Nasty Natty, 9-3 this year. Let's go in Fenway. Give me the Bearcats.
In Fenway, like it's a big deal.
It is. You can just run into the wall.
Louisville got their first basketball win. They're going to get another football win. Give me the Cardinals.
Yeah, I don't see the Reds playing in Fenway. I do see Louisville bats. Give me the Cardinals -2 at Fenway. Next up, we have the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That is Monday, 2:30 ESPN. That is Marshall versus the Yukon Connecticut Huskies. Jim Mora Jr. leading Connecticut to a bowl game. The Thundering Herd, though, are 10-point favorites.
Yeah, I'm taking the Thundering Herd. They have one of the best wins out of any Group of 5 team. They went on the road and beat Notre Dame. Give me Marshall.
I'll take Connecticut in the points. 10 points? Yes.
Hey, Anthony, don't you want UConn to win this game, to pump up Michigan's non-conference schedule of this year?
Look, everybody went after them. They tried to go after us. So we're beyond it. I hope we schedule, ITT
Keep scheduling
Tech
UConn. They're on their way up.
University of Phoenix and Concordia. I hope those are 3 non-conference games next year, just so everyone can put that in their pipe and smoke it. College football playoff. What's up?
Rotate Concordia schools. Concordia Ann Arbor, Concordia Mequon, Concordia Chicago. Just play all the Concordia teams.
Yeah, why not?
I'm going to go with UConn. I think they keep the dream alive of a great season. Next up, we are going to Tuesday, all the way out to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl.
Oh, brutal bowl.
Eastern Michigan taking on San Jose State. Tuesday, 3:30 ESPN. The Spartans of San Jose State, 3.5-point favorites.
Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. E-I-G-L-E-S, Eagles.
Yeah, on the way out, Amani Bates gave him an inspirational. No, I'll take. You got to take Eastern
Inspirational
Michigan.
extended clip.
Oh, gee.
Those are only for Mozzie Smith. Hey-o. Pew, 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 pew.
Those are the sounds I made every time Mozzie Smith made a tackle in the Big Ten Championship. Pew, pew, pew. Really shot out of a cannon on that one.
Oh, he pumped it full of lead.
Eastern. Got to go with Eastern on this one. And
Absolutely.
finally, our last game we're picking is also Tuesday, 7:30 ESPN, is the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl between Liberty and your fighting Toledo Rockets. Toledo, 5-point favorites.
I mean, honestly, what's better than traveling all the way to Ratsmouth, Florida to take on Liberty, 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 Liberty? It's all about the Rockets. UT, you know?
You go to Florida all the time. You're a hater of Boca Raton?
No, there's nothing better than going to Boca Raton.
Okay.
You want to go to Boca Raton? You want to go to Boise, Idaho?
Oh, yeah. I mean, obviously Florida. Who are they playing? Who'd you say?
Liberty.
Oh,
Liberty.
yeah, that's right.
Liberty.
Liberty.
I just sang the song.
Give me Liberty. Can't take every team we root for around here.
Dan supporting the Libs, going down to Florida. Listen, I don't like going to Del Boca Vista or Boca Raton or whatever you call it, but Liberty, they lost Hugh Freeze. He went to Auburn. Give me those Toledo Rockets.
Yes,
Give me
sir.
DeQuan Finn.
What's his name?
Mike Jones? Oh.
No,
DeQuan Finn.
You know what this song is?
No.
Hit the Quan. Are
Oh.
you kidding me? Oh, are you serious? That's it. You don't come to the Glass Bowl. You got to come down to the Glass Bowl when DeQuan Finn scores and we play the Hit the Quan. Just the part where they hit the Quan, and everybody goes crazy on the sidelines.
So like
Shout
the
out
John
to
Wall
DJ Ian
dance?
Thomas on the 1s and 2s.
Is it like the John Wall dance?
It kind of. They just all bounce around. They love it. He's got his own theme song. DeQuan Finn, if he's healthy, he's throwing it all over the place. Toledo Rockets with like 17 guys on the Pro Football Focus All-America team for the Mid-American Conference, the All-MAC team, I should say, not All-America, the All-MAC team. It's all about Desjuan Johnson. It's all about Deontay Johnson. No, not the wide receiver from the Pittsburgh Steelers, the other Deontay Johnson, spelled with D-Y, not D-I. That's how you can tell the difference. That and the fact that Deontay, the kid who's now at Toledo, he is a massive human being. It's all about Max and Hook. Oh, let's go Rockets. That's what we got. Those are college football.
Those are the best bets. They're all happening this week.
Went a little off the rails there. That happens. Welcome back here to X's and Bros on the Michigan Sports Network. Danny Cahalan, Ryan Elke, Anthony Bellino, all joining you. Thank you for joining us, no matter who you are, where you are, how you may be listening, all across the great state of Michigan and in Northwest Ohio. Join us now, the Senior Vice President of Communications and Broadcasting, Ron Colangelo of the Detroit Tigers and Ilitch Companies. Mr. Colangelo, good morning to you, my friend. Happy Friday. The weekend is almost here. How are you? How's life? How are things, partner?
Good morning. Happy holidays to everyone. And things are good. Tigers single game tickets are going on sale at 10 a.m. this morning. It's giving fans an earlier opportunity to secure their seats at Comerica Park for the 2023 season. 10 a.m. at Tigers.com. Tigers single game tickets, and this is going to run through December 20th. This first window, and then you'll have an opportunity to purchase single game tickets in February. So a lot happening, as you know, and we're very excited as we embark on a new era with baseball operations and Scott Harris leading the charge. But this season is going to be a celebration of Miguel Cabrera's final season, and there's going to be a lot of various events, initiatives, and giveaways throughout the season, and we'll have more details as those plans get finalized. But we're very excited to announce single game tickets going on sale today.
It's almost like a stocking stuffer, right? Get a couple of tickets. Come on, print them out on the computer, throw them in the stocking, surprise the Tigers fan in your life this holiday season. I like that because typically they don't go on sale until after the new year. So like you said, here's the opening window, if you will, to get in on the action early. And then, as you mentioned, get back in February when things, the doors really open up. Ron, as we look to, as you mentioned, Miguel Cabrera, the final swan song here. When you look back at his tenure as a Detroit Tiger and everything that he was able to accomplish, how do you kind of like summarize what he has meant to this organization?
Well, he's going to go down as one of the greatest Tigers ever. He's going to fall right into the elite category, the Hall of Fame category of Al Kaline, Ty Cobb, and that list. And at some point, we're going to be celebrating his number retirement and that going up on the brick wall. Miguel has been tremendous. What has he not accomplished other than, fortunately or unfortunately, we haven't won a World Series. With Miguel, we've been to a World Series with him, but Triple Crown MVPs, just has been an amazing talent to see night in and night out. And he's at a point in his career now where he means a lot to the club going into his final season. And Scott Harris, the president of baseball operations, and A.J. Hinch have talked about the importance and the impact he'll have on our team this year with the young players and just being able to mentor them and also keep a good vibe in the dugout and clubhouse.
With A.J. Hinch, obviously, coming back again this year, and now he's got a couple seasons. He'll have a couple seasons under his belt. And you mentioned Scott Harris now being in his first year here with this Tigers organization after the change in the general management position there. What can Tigers fans expect from this club, do you think, in 2023?
Well, I think, out of the gate, we want to stay healthy. We had some devastating injuries last year, as fans follow it closely, to our starting pitching staff. And it was just, when you don't have the starting pitching on a night in, night out basis that you can rely on and be consistent, you're in a disadvantage. And we also had some players that we were counting on in the everyday lineup who had some serious struggles at the plate. And these are guys that, as AJ likes to say, at the back of the baseball card, are proven hitters, and we're expecting some of these guys to bounce back. And at the top of that list would be Jonathan Scope. So everything that could go wrong last year did, unfortunately. We did have some great celebrations with Miguel and his 3,000th hit, and obviously retiring Lou Whitaker's number one, and some great moments at Comerica Park. But unfortunately, we did not get enough wins. So that being said, health is number one, but there's also some guys, younger players that we're excited to see step up. And, we've got some veteran guys, like I said, that we feel will bounce back. So it'll be an exciting brand of baseball. As you mentioned, AJ, and there's some rule changes. So optimistic as we, get ready to go. Less than 2 months away down in Lakeland.
Now, going through your time in the world of professional sports, you worked with the Florida Panthers, you've been with the Marlins, you've been with the New York Jets, who the Lions are about to beat on Sunday. That's very exciting. And make sure to give all your former coworkers, if any of them are still there, give them a little razzing this weekend as the Honolulu Blue
sure.
pick up that big dub. But what is it about baseball that you love? Because you find yourself here with Ilitch and overseeing the Detroit Tigers and in your position. What is it about the game of baseball that you personally, Ron, love?
Well, in sports in general, you rattled off several teams, 3 different sports. It's engaging with people on a daily basis, and that extends to the fans. I'm a fan myself, but being able to create fan experiences and communicating with the fans and seeing that they enjoy themselves when they come to Comerica Park or Little Caesars Arena, to give them an experience and obviously create a memory of for a lifetime and potentially for generations to come. And that's the fun part. And then obviously getting to be around the players and all the personalities, and that's what's rewarding. And then with baseball, to your question, it's the games that you're playing every day. It is a grind. I'm obviously not playing, but being part of something every single day and seeing how engaged the fans are on a daily basis with every game and every pitch, every at bat. So that's the fun part. And I think you'd probably say the same thing if I asked you that question.
Yeah, there's something about baseball when you work in the front office as you do. You have your Monday through Friday, and then you have games, and then you have Saturday and Sunday, right? And it really is. I mean, when the season comes around, like the off season is the off season for everybody that is attached to any organization in baseball, because when the season comes around, you are there from sun up to sundown, 7 days a week, and there is just no stopping. Now, you did mention Little Caesars. By the way, the courtside seats that you can purchase that get you access into I think it's like the Motor City Casino, like club area that's underneath the actual stands themselves. That might be the best experience in sports. I love that thing, and I will be back there ASAP. Now to the lights at Comerica, because the lights are going to be updated. They're going to be a little brighter. There's going to be something going on. Tell us what's going on there at Comerica Park with this update this offseason.
Well, this past Monday, we had the helicopters flying over Comerica Park to remove the older lights that, didn't give us a lot of flexibility to be turned on and off quickly, and certainly did not give us the illumination that we probably should have had. And we're going to phase 1 complete, the old lights removed, phase 2, install the new lights that'll give us a lot of flexibility with both fan experience and player experience. For the fans, the lights will be part of light shows, and there'll be a opportunity when a player hits a home run to do some really cool things with the lights, different colors, and sync that with music. And then for the players, there'll be probably an opportunity to just pick up the ball a little bit better off the bat, especially during night games. So a win for both players and the fans, and just another ballpark enhancement. We've got a few on the table. You got to take these in stages because you can't do everything at once. But we're excited about the light shows and the overall illumination, and also we're going to save some energy, and it'll look better picture on television as well.
And Stan Fracker's got one more thing to keep track of. We love Stan here on this program. I love working with Stan. He is Ron Colangelo, the Senior Vice President of Communications and Broadcasting, leading all business and team communications and functions across Ilitch Sports and Entertainment. Ron, thank you so much for your time this morning, my friend. We greatly appreciate it, and we look forward to the 2023 season to come.
Well, thank you again. Tiger tickets at tigers.com on sale, single games. 10 a.m. So take a look at the schedule. 22 different teams coming to Comerica Park this year. So you might want to take a look right now and pick out some games.
You heard the man. Tigers.com. Stuff the stockings right now for this week only. Ron, thank you, my friend. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Joining us on the horn right now, providing the color analysts there for the New York Football Jets. It is Marty Lyons. Marty, good morning to you, my friend. How are you this morning, partner?
I'm doing well, Anthony. How are you doing out there?
I am fantastic. I didn't realize this at first, but this is more than just Lions-Jets. This is a little Big Ten SEC matchup as well, because if I'm not mistaken, you were a 1978 All-American, consensus All-American at Alabama.
I was. As a matter of fact, we played Penn State that year, and we won on a goal line stand 14-7 to win the national championship. The year before, we actually beat Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl.
It's just that's a lot of SEC. That's a lot of SEC here at Marty.
Yes, it is.
Big Ten country now, and you played under Bear Bryant back in the day. What could you give us one story or what that was kind of like and how the game has changed from back then? Because all we see, for people my age, all we see are some videos, some highlights. You see him perusing around the sidelines. He's got that hat on, but we have no idea what that was actually like.
Well, you know what? When you got to the stadium and Coach Bryant would walk the field with the players, he'd lean up against the goalpost, and the opposing team, the home team, they would walk around, and that was well worth 3 to 5 points every game, just because everybody was fascinated with Coach Bryant. And I think the biggest thing that he did was prepare every one of his players to be successful once the game ended. And you never really appreciated the values that he brought to the game, but he wanted you to treat your teammate like family. He worked us hard at practice with the understanding that if you're going to quit during practice. Don't quit during the game. But I think that everybody that played for Coach Bryant, there's probably not a day or a week that goes by in their lives that they don't realize that how much influence that he had on us as players.
That's fantastic, and that's what coaching is all about. I think a lot of times, we get lost in wins and losses. We get lost in success and failure and money and contracts and fantasy football and all these other things where, especially at the, even at the youth level to the high school level, then to college and then to professional football, it's about so much more than just the actual game itself. Sure, that might be how you were judged, but at the end of the day, it's about preparing young men and grown men to be the best versions of themselves that they can be. And football is a teacher like none other.
Yeah, I would agree with Anthony. I think, going into any major college, you're 18 years old, you have that dream of maybe possibly making it to the NFL, and all your focus is on football until you get there, and then they make you realize that football is just a small part of your life, that it's going to end one day. And if you're fortunate enough to go on and play in the NFL and make a career out of it, that too will end one day. And then what are you going to do with the rest of your life? And I think all the coaches, and you look back at, Alabama, we were a wishbone team. Coach Bryant believed that if we can't pick up 1 yard, you don't deserve to win. And when we had the goal line stand against Penn State, Joe Paterno was the same way. They ran the ball twice on third down and on fourth, and we were fortunate enough that we had the right defense called. Everybody played as a unit. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and what a great way to go out, being that it was my last game to win the national championship, and then going in. I've been, drafted by the Jets in 1979. I've been here ever since. So I've been with the organization 43 years now.
It's just it's incredible, Marty. I loved it. I love those stories. And when you were a player, when you're drafted by a team, and then you get an opportunity to stay a part of that franchise and that organization, you're someone who has seen a lot. And obviously with the coaching change, and this is the battle for Dearborn this coming weekend with Robert Saleh, your head coach, Aiden Hutchinson, our stud rookie defensive end, both coming from that area here in Michigan, just a little bit west of the metro, downtown Detroit area. It's a lot of fun. And a lot of people around here were very interested in Robert Saleh potentially being the head coach for Detroit. Jets go with Saleh. Lions go with Dan Campbell. What have you seen from Coach Saleh to this point in his young tenure, his early tenure here with the New York Jets, that makes you believe that this team is going to be built for success for a long time?
Well, number one, I think the team is starting to adapt to his personality, and I've always been one of those believers. Maybe it's old school that the team is going to play with the same type of emotion, same type of discipline that the head coach has. When you look at the Detroit Lions, you look at Dan Campbell. I've never had an opportunity to meet him, but watching him work the sidelines, you know that the players want to play for him. And there's one common goal in the NFL, and that's to make it to the playoffs. And now you got two teams that are fighting to get in. That Detroit 6-7, the Jets are 7-6. This is a big game for both teams, and when you look at Detroit, they are just clicking on all cylinders on the offensive side of the ball, averaging about 32 points a game in the last 5 games. Jared's doing a great job quarterbacking. They can run the ball. But you don't want to get into an arena football type game with them. You don't want to get into a fast track, you score, we score, you score, we score. At some point, the defense of the New York Jets, they're going to have to step up and play a solid game, and it starts with getting pressure on the quarterback.
And let's go to quarterback, because that's a very interesting situation, what's happening in New York. Can you, what is the deal here? It was Zach Wilson, and then Zach Wilson was not going to be the starter, and then he wasn't even going to be available. He was in street clothes on the sidelines. Now he is going to be available, backing up Mike White, according to reports that he'll at least have a helmet in his hand and some pads on, which is a plus. What is happening there?
Well, you look at the Jets, and you go back to when they played New England right before the bye. They played them 2 games before the bye. They lost 22-17. Then they came back and they beat Buffalo, 20-17. Then you had your bye week, and then you go up to New England and you lose 10-3. And in the second half, the Jets had 7 possessions for a total of 2 yards. Now, that wasn't all on Zach. When you don't pick up 2 yards in 7 possessions, that tells you your offensive line's not playing too well. You're not getting anything out of your skilled players. And as a result, after the game, Zach made a mistake. It was pretty simple. One of the reporters asked him if he felt like he disappointed the defense, and he said no. But I don't think, looking back at it, that Zach, actually heard the question. He just answered no. And the Jets felt that, everybody has to be held accountable. I commend Rob Saleh and Joe Douglas and the Jets organization for the way that they handled it. They said, hey, you know what? It's time for you to sit down, time for you to reset, and let's bring up Mike White, see what Mike White can do. Mike White brought a lot of enthusiasm, a lot of excitement to the locker room, and also a lot of excitement to the fans. And as a result, Zach went from being a starter to resetting, went down to number 3. Last week up there in Buffalo, Mike White showed how tough he was. He just got beat up, from the time the kickoff to the end of the game. They were blitzing them, putting pressure on them, hitting them. Joe Flacco went in there. He didn't perform well, had a strip fumble. And they felt like, okay, now it's time to move Zach back up. And I look at it, I got kids ranging from the age of 40 all the way down to 26. When you're 23 years old, you make mistakes. We all make mistakes. And I think the Jets handled it properly, and he deserves a second chance. And I think with them hitting that reset button, I think Zach realizes that, you know what, I've got to grow up a little bit.
How good is Sauce Gardner?
He's the best rookie I've seen in 43 years of being with the Jets.
Wow.
He can backpedal. He's got the hip movements. He's got the length of his arms, and he anticipates. He looks back at the quarterback, and he can anticipate where the ball's going to go. And I tell you what, Anthony, if you look at him in man-to-man coverage this year, in 13 games, he's only given up 67 receiving yards. That's tremendous for a rookie. And he loves the challenge. He's out there putting in the time before the game. I walked down on the field 2 hours before the game. Sauce Gardner's down there. And he's working hard at every aspect of his game. And I think it shows that, it's complementary football because you look at the other side, you got DJ Reed. He's playing outstanding too. And if you want to help your secondary out, put pressure on the quarterback. And that's what that rotating defensive line has been able to do the first 13 games.
And, we've been focusing a lot on the Dearborn connection there with Aiden and with Coach Sala, but also, Sauce Gardner, he's a King High School graduate himself there in downtown Detroit. I mean, he was a guy that caught 4 passes for almost $130 and 2 touchdowns in the state championship game in Division III when he was just a high schooler. So he is someone that a lot of our listeners are very, very familiar with, and you got to be happy for someone from your hometown to be able to go and make it all the way to that level to the National Football League and be able to have the impact that he has had. If the New York Jets, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, Anthony, and what makes it special for Sauce is he's a good kid. He's likable. You're happy for him. He's one of those guys that when you sit and you interview, he's very respectful. And you're just happy for guys that don't have that chip on their shoulder. He came in. He wanted to prove himself, and in the first 13 games, he has.
And he's got one of the best commercials out there, Buffalo Wild Wings, where he loves sauce so much that he puts sauce on sauce, and I find that highly entertaining. So good for Sauce Gardner. Marty, if the New York Jets are going to win this football game against the Detroit Lions, when you scout the Lions, what do the Jets have to do? What is the one thing they must do in order to win this football game?
I really believe they got to run the ball. They got to control the clock, and if you can keep the Detroit Lions offense on the sideline, gives you a better chance. Because the one thing that the Lions are doing this year, they're going vertically down the field. They're trying to get the ball deep. They're playing with a great deal of enthusiasm over there, playing with a great deal of confidence. You look at Jamal Williams, what's he got? 14 touchdowns, which leads the NFL. So they can run the ball too. I think you control the clock and you move the ball down. You don't have to get those chunk yards, but you have to win the time of possession.
From your perspective, on the outside looking in, when you look at this year's Detroit Lions team and how they've really rallied back and, winners of their last 5 out of the 6, and Marty, I'm telling you, they win 3 games in a row. We're taking calls. People talk about Super Bowl tickets. I mean, it is, we are just dying for a winner here, please, for the love of God. But from the outside looking in, do you see the Lions differently today than you did 2 years, 5 years ago? Do they just
I look
different?
At them differently, Anthony, from the beginning of the season. When the schedule came out, you kind of look down, you go, okay, the Jets were 4-13 last year. Let's go through what can they be this year. And everybody had this game against Detroit circled as a W. Just human nature. They said, okay, let's look at the past. And, we should be able to beat Detroit. But now, the way that they're playing and the personality that they have and the coach, that's a true compliment. And, the defensive coordinator, Aaron Glenn, I was doing the TV show up here with the Jets when the Jets drafted him back in '94. There's another quality individual. Worked for the Jets for a couple years in 2012 and 2013 in personnel. And he's got that defense humming. So it's going to be a challenge for the Jets. You can't turn the ball over, win the time of possession, and just try to move the ball down. Both of these teams at 6-7 and 7-6 have lost very close games, which, they're all one possession. If something didn't happen during the middle of the game or something good happened at the end of the game, their record could have been a lot better.
He is Marty Lyons, and folks, he was a part of that famed New York sack exchange with the Jets, Jets. The pride of St. Petersburg Catholic High School down there in Florida. Marty, my friend, thank you so much for your time today. We greatly appreciate getting to know the Jets a little bit, and for you to join us this morning was fantastic. And the story about Bear Bryant, I love all of it. Thank you so much, and have a wonderful call on Sunday.
All right, my pleasure, Anthony, and to everybody out there in Detroit, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, and just enjoy your family and enjoy life. We'll see you guys later.
There he goes. You as well, Marty, you as well. And, we're talking about 1984 Man of the Year. He's in the Jets Ring of Honor, the New York Sack Exchange. I love that. And I love the story about Bear Bryant, too. I think that we as we get further and further away from some of those all-time greats, like founding fathers, if you will, of the game of football, and just kind of that old school mentality that we're getting away from, that it's nice to have some of these throwbacks. And you hear from a guy like Marty, and you can hear it in his voice and how much a guy like Bear Bryant meant to him. And Bear wasn't easy, right? But nothing good in life usually is. So it'll be a lot of fun. Like Sauce Gardner, Robert Saleh, Aiden Hutchinson, a lot of ties here, a lot of ties to the area. And hey, look, they're a different team now, these Detroit Lions. People are talking about them a little differently. That's what's also really nice, that it's not just us, right? I think that sometimes we get a little bit lost in that too. We sometimes believe that, it's just us seeing things with our Honolulu blue glasses on. But you talk to other people around the league, and like, hey, this team's putting up what do you say, over 30 points a game in their last 5? I mean, they're scoring points. They're taking shots vertically. Jared Goff has been playing great football. He's giving them a chance. You take away that bad throw against Buffalo, and hell, this team might be on a 6-game winning streak right now going into this game. But it's all on the line. Gentlemen, straight up, no spread, gut feeling.
Close game. Lions win by a field goal.
I'm going to have Lions winning, but I think it's going to be like 24-10.
24-10 Lions?
I think Aiden Hutchinson and James Houston are going to crab cake some football. Like that's sack lunch. Like, I feel like that's what's, after seeing what Buffalo did to the Jets, they've had some injuries on their offensive line. They're not playing that well in that side of the trenches, so I think the Lions can get the Jets.